Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TriStar Gym channel. Today's episode, we are talking about Islam Makhachev versus Volkanovski 2. We were supposed to have Oliveira versus Makhachev. Oliveira gets injured. I heard he got a big scar, big cut. Volkanovski steps in. I think it's about a 10-day notice. Guys, I got to tell you something. I loved Volkanovski before, but now I absolutely adore him. Why? He took, I told you guys before, the most exciting fight at 155, it's not Makhachev and Oliveira for me. For me, it was Makhachev and Volkanovski, and now we got it. The first fight was super controversial. Guys, the first fight was ultra controversial. I would tell you, 80% of us thought Makhachev was going to win by a landslide. A lot of us, guys. I know a lot of you are going to backtrack and you're going to tell me, no, coach, I always knew it all along. Lies. I took a poll here. We talked about it. And I would tell you the vast majority of you had agreed with me that Makhachev was going to win. A lot of us thought he was going to sub Volkanovski. And lo and behold, we got a very, very controversial fight. I thought Makhachev won. I thought the judges got it right, but a lot of you out there disagreed. A lot of you thought that Makhachev should have lost that fight and that Volkanovski finished strong. The fifth round, we saw Makhachev on his back, looking not like, in a way we've never seen him before. We've never seen him before. Barring that one knockout he's had in his career, he's been ultra dominant in all his fights. He's only ever been taken down one time in his entire career prior to the Volkanovski fight. He shoots in on Volkanovski, gets tagged on the way in, goes to guard. Volkanovski gets on top of him and is finishing strong. The Australian crowd going crazy. So many people were on Volkanovski's side. The judges, though, in my opinion, made the right choice. Gave it to Makhachev. I rewatched the fight today again. I do think I watched it again and again. I've watched it today, and I'm telling you, Makhachev won that fight. However, he looked human. Volkanovski made him look human. Now, the second time around, guys, part 2. The Russian versus Rocky Balboa. The Australian Rocky Balboa. Guys, I'm going with Makhachev. I'm not gonna take long to tell you my pick. I never do. I try never to take long. I'm picking Makhachev, especially after rewatching the fight today. I'm really confident for him. Of course, this is not an easy fight to call. Guys, there's a poll in the chat room. I want you guys to vote. So far, it's 67% Makhachev. Okay, I'm going to give it some time to develop. A lot of you must agree with me that Makhachev is going to win. Why? Well, first of all, he's doing a 5-rounder with Volk. Volk has obviously done many 5-rounders with the hardest 5-rounders. Some of the hardest 5-rounders with Max Holloway, the king of 5 rounds. The most active fighter in 5-round fighting, it's Holloway, and Volkanovski was able to handle Holloway 3 times in a 5-rounder. He never slows down. We know that Volkanovski is a 5-round machine. He could fight 5 rounds with anybody. I think it was Islam Makhachev's first time around with a 5-round machine killer like Volkanovski. I think this time he's going to be a little bit wiser. He's going to be a little bit smarter. And also, Volk only had about 10 days. Now, I'm assuming Volk is in tip-top shape all year round, but it's different when you don't have a countdown. You don't have like 8 weeks to count down. You could really peak in 8 weeks. In just 10 days, it's very difficult. He's got to go with what he has so far. So I think it could be that Volk is not going to be in the best shape, not the ultra. Of course, Volk in pretty good shape is better than 99% of the roster. Volk is very special in that sense. But it's not ultra finish like a Tiger round 5 of Volk. Maybe. I'm just saying maybe because it's 10 days notice, right? He can't go through his full routine. He's got to cut things short. He's got to go in the shape that he's in already. In 10 days, you can't do much. And also, they're fighting in the Middle East, guys. This time, the crowd is going to be much more on Makhachev's side. If you remember the first fight, anytime Volk did anything, he gestured to the crowd, they cheered him. That can influence judges. It influences people fighting. It influences the people watching the fight. It has a crazy difference. A lot of times I watch fights with the sound off. And then you rewatch it with the sound on and you hear the oohs and ahs of the crowd. It's very, very influential. Very influential. Why? Because I'll give you an example. Okay, in round 1, I think it was round 1 or round 2. I'm sorry, round 2 of their first fight. Volk blitzes Makhachev. Makhachev steps back, trips, slips. It looked like Volk hit him. Volk actually, if you rewatch the fight in slow motion, Volk never connects the punch. And Islam kind of stumbles, falls, and shoots into the legs and kind of wrestles Volkanovski down. But the crowd went wild. Why? Because, you know, when you're sitting in the stands and you see somebody throw a punch and you see a guy buckle, you don't see the fist connecting. All you saw was a guy throwing and the guy falling at the same time. It was a coincidence. Of course, the punch made Makhachev react quickly, and that quick reaction caused him to stumble. But I'm saying he didn't stumble because of force was traveling through his jaw down his legs. No. He just stumbled. The punch never connected. So for me, I count that as a slip. I don't count that as a knockdown. However, it happened really fast. When I watched it live, I wasn't sure. Then on the replay, I could see. The judge doesn't see that. The judge just sees. Some judges might miss that connection. It's fast. The hand is faster than the eye, guys. Yeah, sure, you could watch it on the replay and figure it out. But when you're watching it live and you see the crowd scream, you're thinking, hey, throw a punch, a guy knocked down. We see that. It's not impossible. It influences the fight. The crowd was so charged. That was one of the most rowdy crowds. And I love Australians. I just came back from Australia not long ago. I'll tell you something. The Australians are a fun crowd, man. They're a wild bunch. Guys, all of Australia is wild. All of it. The wildlife that they have. Like, you have to be a little bit nuts to live in that area. I mean, like, if you look at a top 10 predators, 9 of them are in Australia. 9 of the top 10 world's greatest predators. Poisonous, man-eating, all the crazy animal kingdom. All the nasty animals of the world, for some reason, are all jammed into Australia. So if you're going to live there, I mean, you gotta be tough. You got to be a little crazy if you want to live in Australia. And I love the Australians. When they watch fighting, you feel the energy. This time, Volk's not going to have a crowd. And don't get me wrong, the Middle Eastern people are going to love Volk. But Islam Makhachev, he's their boy. He's their boy. And they're gonna cheer Volk if Volk wins. Don't doubt me on that. They're gonna cheer him. They'll never boo him. They're gonna clap for him on the way in. They're gonna cheer for him for sure. But they're not gonna back him up as much as they're gonna back up Islam Makhachev. Guys, I'm picking Makhachev. Why? I'll tell you why. I saw them trade shots. I could tell you, I think Makhachev has the power punching advantage. Like, he stunned Volk. Volk also stunned him, but it was pretty back and forth, the striking. But Makhachev has the wrestling. Makhachev has the top game. Even though Volkanovski did a great job defending, sprawling, the counter to the takedowns, the hip heisting, the butterfly hook, the Yokosumageshi counters. He did so well on the counters, but ultimately Makhachev was able to scramble and score on the ground, whereas all of Volkanovski's takedowns, they were ineffective. He couldn't even get close to taking Makhachev down. Makhachev has only been taken down officially once in his career. In the 5th round, Makhachev ended up on his back by a punch, so it is possible that Volkanovski gets on top of him. I'm just saying that Makhachev is a little bit more in the wrestling and grappling department. A little bit more, not much more. And the striking was very close, and I think this time around, Makhachev has had time to mature and more time to prepare for this day. I'm picking Makhachev. Now I'm going to look at the poll here. You guys are at still, hold on, this needs to be refreshed. 67% of you think Makhachev is going to win. Okay, guys, this is my take on the fight. I think Makhachev is going to win also. I'm surprised that it's 67-37. I'm going to give it 55-45. I'm not going that out. I'm not going to say that's 67-33. The other fight on the card is also super exciting. Khamzat versus Usman. Guys, I'm going to tell you right away. I can't believe I'm saying this. But I'm picking Khamzat. If it was at 170 and if it was a 5-rounder at 170, I would pick Usman. But Usman on short notice, and I'm understanding it's at 185. Guys, please correct me if I'm wrong. From what I understand, it's short notice. It's at 185. Khamzat doesn't make 170 anymore. The fact that Usman is going up a weight class, the fact that it's short notice, I think it's going to be really tough for him to win. Now, I can be wrong. But my real reason the one reason why I think Khamzat's going to win, Khamzat doesn't have the best striking defense. Usman doesn't have the best striking defense. They both get hit quite a bit. Khamzat's going to be a little bit bigger. He's going to hit a little bit harder. And he's going to have a little bit, maybe a little bit more in the wrestling department. If he gets on top of Usman, it's going to be a disaster. If he forces Usman in a bottom game, it's going to be a disaster. If Usman gets on top of Khamzat, I think Khamzat is just going to scramble back up to his feet. That's what it's going to be, a scramble. It's going to be tough. You might get a little bit ground and pound, but Usman has made a career of holding people down, not devastating with the grappling, not devastating with the ground and pound. He's more of a bully on top where he kind of holds you and pins you, but he doesn't punish you. He's not a Khabib with the ground and pound. He's not a GSP with the passing and pinning and back taking. And he's not a submission master like Makhachev. When he's on top of you, it's going to be more scrambling. It's not going to be as punishing. However, Khamzat has proven that when he's on top, he can sub. He can end the game. I'm giving him a slight advantage, guys. I don't want to get too complicated on the fight, but I really do think Khamzat has an advantage. 1, because of the weight. 2, because it's only 3 rounds. It's short notice for Usman. Short notice. Don't forget, he was supposed to fight Paulo Costa. Guys, I want to put up a poll here. I'm going to put up a poll for Khamzat. No, I can't put up 2 polls. That sucks. All right. Can't put up 2 polls, guys. For some reason, not allowed. 66 to 34. Man, you guys are heavy on Makhachev. I didn't think it was going to be. I thought we were going to have like 50-50 in the poll. Honestly, I thought you guys after the last fight, because the last fight was very controversial and close. Guys, let me know, who do you think is going to win? Usman or Khamzat? Let me know in the just type the names in the poll, in the chat. Delete the first poll. Should I delete the first poll? I think I'm going to let it ride. Can you do an Islam versus Israel poll? I wonder if you're referring to the states. 355 votes. 65% are voting for Makhachev. Okay, guys, let me know in the chat. Let's do it the old-fashioned way. Usman beats the hell out of him. Guys, I'm telling you, if it was a 170 fight, 175 pounds, for 5 rounds, I'm picking Usman. However, because it's 3 rounds, a weight class up, Khamzat's going to come in more naturally big. He's been preparing for this date for a long time. I think he's going to be more ready. Will we see Arnold Allen for UFC? Yes, guys. Guys, again, I don't talk about fighters that I train, so please, no mention of that. But I will be, yes, of course, in Toronto. Okay, guys, sub coach. Quick reminder, Alexander fans admitted Islam took less than a second in round 1 to grab Alex. Alex escaped from multiple takedowns, but Islam is better wrestler and can keep on the ground, Khabib style GOAT. That's from Shiz, guys. Shiz thinks Islam's going to take it. Easier said than done. You said 1.9 to your body weight for leg press. Is that a per leg? No, that's just any compound lift, squat, deadlift, squat or deadlift, or of course bench. Okay. Islam was KO'd by a non-name bum who isn't even in UFC anymore. That's from User Not Found. User Not Found. So what? That can happen to anybody. Don't make me start naming all the greats who got caught with a shot. All the greats. It happens, guys. It happens. Guys, don't forget, I released my new A Man's Guide to Punching. It comes with an ebook. It's a crash course for boxing, teaching you, guys, if you want to learn boxing the right way, check out A Man's Guide to Throwing a Punch. I explain to you, in the book, I explain to you why you should know how to throw a punch. You got to learn to protect yourself, protect your loved ones, guys. It's a great crash course. I know a lot of you out there do grappling and wrestling. Make sure you have a boxing routine. I teach you the 3 elements to a boxing routine, which is warm-up, technical drilling, which is what the video is, all the techniques you have to train, all sliced in perfect little chapters, and of course, conditioning workouts at the end. You finish your boxing workouts with conditioning. That's the classic and, in my opinion, the best way to develop a punching game. Guys, I promise you, you will absolutely love this video. It has been selling like crazy. People absolutely love it. I'm really happy to have finally released it. And guys, check it out. Use promo code FALL50 off. It's at the bottom of your screen. Click the link in the description below. Get it. Get anything you want on Jiu-Jitsu Club for 50% off. Volk is more competitive than Oliveira. Exactly. Guys, I wasn't that excited about the Oliveira fight. I love Oliveira. Don't get me wrong. He's great. However, I just think he always finds a way to end up on his back. And if Islam gets on top of him, it's just going to be a beating. I love Oliveira. He's exciting. He's great. He's amazing. However, I would have come in here and I would have gave it a 70-30. I don't think I would have done even a pre-fight analysis, because I only like to do pre-fight analysis on fights that I find super hard to predict, crazy hard to call. Those are the most exciting fights. And I'm telling you, when I did the first analysis of Volk, I came on here and everybody was telling me Makhachev, and I agreed Makhachev, but guys, go listen to that again. I said, guys, I rewatch all Volk's fights. It's going to be way harder than everybody thinks. This is going to be a brutal fight. It's going to be the hardest fight for Makhachev. Even though I came on here and I agree with you all, majority of you, I remember seeing very little people thinking that Volk would win. Very little. And he went out there and he proved all of us wrong, that he was not only, it's going to be a close fight, controversial. Many people thought he won that fight. I think this fight, however, is going to be a little bit more dominant for Makhachev. Guys, I'm only doing questions on the fight. After that, we're going to talk about absolutely anything, and I'm sure we're going to talk about, hopefully one day, peace in the Middle East. I know that's in the news. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I'm happy to talk about it with you all. Hopefully one day we'll see peace in the Middle East in our lifetime, and we can talk about that. But afterwards, please, guys, after we finish these two fights, I'm going to talk about both these fights, Makhachev and Usman versus Khamzat. Hey, Coach, Islam is better than Khabib? ? No, I don't think he's better than Khabib. I think Khabib is still the greatest of the lightweights ever. Yeah, Khamzat makes sense. Guys, yes, Khamzat makes sense, but it's not going to be an easy fight. How does he beat him? Does he beat him standing? Man, that's a tall order. He has to grapple. He has to shoot and take down Usman. Now, what's Usman going to do on the bottom? We've never seen him on the bottom, guys. We have never seen him really on more than one hip, or like a little bit turtle. When Kobe took him down, they didn't officially count it as a takedown, but I did. He had him on all fours. He had him referee's position. Usman is great at getting up, no doubt. I had no doubt he's good at getting up. But in my opinion, they should have counted that takedown as an official takedown, but they didn't. They officially have him as never being taken down. If you rewatch that fight, it was a clear takedown. Usman is a killer, don't forget. I agree, but he's going up a weight class, and it is very short-term notice. Very short-term. Usman's knees are screwed. Oscar, I agree with you. I don't know if that's public information, but that's one of my biggest fears for him, is he doesn't have the knees. His knees are not what they used to be. Usman has too many injuries that are biting him now. That's from Swish. Guys, I guess, you're right. I think that is a big problem. That's the thing. Khamzat is up and coming. Usman's kind of peaked. How is his body feeling? He's been knocked out really bad by Leon Edwards. Do you ever get your chin back the way it was? You're fighting at 185. Because the thing is, Usman does get hit. If you watch his fights, man, he gets tagged. But he was getting punched by Kobe. Kobe's busy, but he's not the biggest power puncher. Khamzat has shown he's got a lot of power in those punches. But I will tell you this, Usman has the heart to win, man. He's a heart of a lion. Okay, end the poll. That's a good idea. I'm going to end this poll. Makhachev, 64. Volkanovski, 36. Let's see if I could put up another poll. Hey guys, there's a new poll up. Khamzat or Usman? Khamzat or Usman? I'm going to let that poll develop, guys. All right, guys. With that said, how much time we're in? 20 minutes. Guys, talk to me about Usman versus Khamzat. Who's going to win this fight? How? Talk to me. 81% Khamzat? Oh, my God. Guys, you guys have no faith in Usman? You guys have no faith in Usman? The former world champion? Man. Hisham, right back at you, my brother. Right back at you. Kamzat beat many Joe Blow. That's from Zozilla. I agree with you. He hasn't fought the biggest names. God, he had more trouble with Burns. Kamzat had more trouble with Burns than Usman did. Kamzat had more trouble with Burns than Usman. But I think it had a lot to do with the weight cut. Now he's at 185. He's at his real weight. A much more comfortable weight for him. It wouldn't even shock me if he missed 185. Like, I've met Kamzat in person. I mean, he's a big guy, man. He's a very athletic human being. Like, he's a freak, man. He's an athlete, guys. He's an athlete. He's an imposing figure. He's physically imposing, guys. I gotta tell you, he's a scary dude, man. Kamzat is a scary, scary dude physically. He's tall. He's lanky. He's got broad shoulders. He can, like, I don't know. I mean, he's a very, very athletic human being. I'm no expert by any means, but Usman is significantly cleaner in his fighting than Kamzat. That's from Hisham. Kamzat is a war machine. He loves the war. You see, when he got hit by Burns, he's like smiling. He's like, come on, let's. It's his attitude. He has an attitude for war and violence and, like, action. He's not the type of guy who's going to pick and poke, stick and move, counter you, be all strategic, and think about points, and then he's gonna be like, "Well, am I up or down?" And he's no. He's like, he's so physically imposing that for him that's nonsense. That's all noise. The judges, all this stuff about points, that's just noise. For him, we're gonna engage. I'm gonna break you. He has a high finishing rate. I think Burns is the only guy to ever go decision with him. Let me double check that, okay? Guys, I don't think that's a good point, guys. I don't think Usman's ever been finished. 12-0. Okay, no, Jack Hammerson, he went to point. Okay, no, it's wrestling. Okay. Gilbert Burns decision. Kevin Holland Darce. Mirchat, that was a cross, 17 seconds. McGee, ground and pound round 1, round 2. Guys, he's never been the distance other than with Burns. Okay, forget grappling. I'm not counting in grappling or wrestling. Excuse me. Jing Liang, he finished him round. Guys, he's never seen round 3. He's never seen round 3 in his MMA career. There's a round 2. There's one round 2 against a guy I don't know, Brave CF, Mezwadil, submission in round 2, 1:15. Somebody guys, somebody was able to last 6 minutes with the man. Okay, I agree with you. These are not all the biggest names. Like Kevin Holland, Darson round 1. Guys, he's a finisher. He's a killer. Kamaru Usman. Let's see. Has Usman ever been finished? I can't remember. No, he has 2 losses. Of course, Leon Edwards knocked him out. He has 2 losses to Leon Edwards. I thought he had a loss before Leon Edwards. Yes, he does. He has 3 losses. Rear naked choke. He was finished in his second fight in his career. Of course, he's come a long way since then. It's not the same Usman. He'd been choked out in the second fight. He has 2 losses to the same guy, Leon Edwards, and one of them was a KO that we'll never forget. He was on his way to win. What was it, the last minute in the fight? Yeah, round 5 at 4:04, he gets hit with a head kick. Could knock out anybody. Guys, I'm never going to say there's luck in a fight. There's no luck in a fight, but it was unlikely he gets knocked out with a head kick, and he did. He's been finished twice in his career. One of them we can really forget about it. It was early in his career. He probably didn't know anything about grappling. He's gotten kicked to the head. Anybody can eat a bad shot, like we talked about it earlier. Some guy was dogging... who was he dogging for getting punched? Oh, yeah. He said Islam got knocked out by a guy who's not even UFC no more. That was a long time ago, guys. That was a long time ago. So what? Anybody can get caught. The best fighter in the world can get clipped. Mayweather could get clipped. Anybody can get clipped. Kamzat is a finishing machine. Usman is super hard to finish. It's going to be interesting. If it was a 5-round fight at 170, I would give it to Usman. But 3 rounds at 185, something is telling me Kamzat, because I think he's going to have a little bit too much. And if he puts Usman on the ground, it's going to be a lot of work for Usman. 71% of you are telling me Kamzat. I'm shocked. Coach, if Usman survives round 1, do his chances go up? That's from NKS. I would agree with you. Yes, his chances do go up. Okay, guys, I don't want to harp on this for too long. Let's open it up to absolutely anything. All right, I'm going to end this poll. You guys, actually, you know what? I ended it. Okay, let's end it. All right, let's do these super chats. Salam, Coach. Allah bless you and increase you and your Amin and yours. Thank you. Jazakallah khair. Free Palestine. That's from Cliff Clifton Adams. Thank you, Clifton. Very appreciated. And likewise. Salam alaikum, coach. Can you speak about the wear and tear that BJJ has on the body in the long term? I heard black belts complain about it. That's from RS. It's not true. It's a myth. If you know how to take care of your body, guys, getting old and this wear and tear talk, it's for people who don't know better. If you're getting old and you have wear and tear, it's because you don't know better. Guys, the only thing that's really different for me, I'm 43, I'm going to be 44 soon. I hate wearing these glasses because I know I buy these cheap glasses from the pharmacy. It's the only thing is my reading. When I read on a screen, my eyes are the same. Everything, my whole body is the same as when I was 20. I feel the same. However, when I read on the screen, I need to wear glasses. When I read in a book, I have to wear glasses. That's the only thing is reading. I don't like to put on glasses. That's why I'm always reading with no glasses on. I like to train my eyes. Nothing else should be different. Everything else should be the same if you know how to take care of your body. Guys, I'm not going to harp on it now. Check out my strong and stable knees, strong and stable back, strong and stable running. Get those videos. They're 50% off. You will love them. They will change your life. You'll be fit for life. I promise you. And you will not have any of this where, oh, my joints. They just don't know better. They just don't know better. They don't know how to take care of their body. Okay, guys. Sean Strickland is praying he doesn't face my boy Khamzat. Khamzat is going to run over lots of people in the middleweight, especially in the welterweight. Double champ, kill everyone. That's from Shiz. Shiz is a tiger. Shiz, I don't know if he makes 170 again. Honestly, I don't know. Does he beat Strickland? That's a tall order. I heard they train together, and I don't want to say, I've heard what happens in the practice room. Who knows? It's really tough. They know each other. I'm sure they would fight each other. There's a lot of money on the line. I don't think they're best friends or anything like that. But Strickland's not an easy fight. Not an easy fight for anybody. He's the champion. Let's not underestimate him. Do you smoke weed, bro? That's from Reinhardt. No, Reinhardt. I do not smoke weed, bro. Usman beat many top dog. That is true. All right, guys. I'm going to read some non-super chats. Are you saying the Volk doesn't have enough power to knock out Islam? That's from RS. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I give a lot of credence to somebody who has a lot of punching power in a fight, okay? I think their punching power was very similar, and I gave a slight edge. Don't freak out here. I gave a slight edge to Islam. So I'm just saying Islam even has that advantage. Not that's very different than saying Volk cannot knock him out. Of course Volk can knock him out. Volk can knock out anybody at 155. Finally caught you live. That's Muhammad Zawiya. Welcome, Mr. Muhammad Zawiya. All right, guys. Let's do absolutely anything. Let's talk about this. Absolutely anything. I think we punched in those fights quite nicely in 29 minutes. I'm getting a little more efficient at this. It's those knees, coach. Yes, it's true. Usman has problematic knees. It's true. Much love from Chicago, coach. Finally catching you live. That's from David Lopez. David Lopez, thank you, my brother. I just saw a really crazy video on YouTube from Chicago. I heard the Chicago gang problem is pretty wild. I came across this video. I think actually I'm not sure if it was on, I think it was on YouTube. And it was just a gangbanger pulling out his gun, filming himself, like pointing at another gangster and threatening him. And the gangster started running and he was like screaming out his gang's name. And I was like, that's insane. He posted that video. He posted his video with his voice. And I mean, that guy who ran away from him could easily report him, find the video online. This guy could be thrown in jail for illegal. I'm sure, I'm assuming he very likely has a criminal record, possession of a firearm. They have a reason to search his house. They might find 1,001 illegal, if the guy's a gangbanger, he's obviously probably linked to legal activity. I mean, just so insane. Like, it's insane. Not only you did such a crazy thing, you filmed it and posted it? That's insane. That's insane. Coach, first, what mental prep do you do with your fighters before competition? At Pans, I didn't feel like my skills were lacking, but I started so slow. That's from Jesus Ishmael. Look, I can tell you there's a lot to know about the mental side of things. I would tell you, look, you got to be in better shape for competition than you are in the practice room. In the practice room, because you're in an environment that you know, because you're rolling with people that you know, because you're in a routine and there's not people watching you. Everybody's kind of rolling and nobody's watching you, and it's not being filmed. You have a lower level of stress. When you're in competition, you're rolling for, let's say it's a 6-minute round or 10 minutes, and the guy you're rolling with is not taking it easy. He's not doing 3 rounds, because when you go roll in practice, people don't realize this, but you're doing 3 rounds in a row usually. Typically jiu-jitsu clubs will do 3 rounds. You're pacing yourself for 3 rounds, but when you have 1 round and then you're going to wait around for an hour before your next match, you're going to go harder. If I tell you, hey, today we're only doing 1 round, you're going to roll a lot differently than if I tell you you got to do 3 rounds in a row. So the rolling is more intense. Because there's points, the guy's going to try harder than he would in the practice room. Because people are watching you, it elevates your heart rate. Because you're in a new environment, it could be distracting. You're hearing other people talk. You're hearing his coach yelling instructions. You're processing all this information you're not used to. That's why some people, they don't raise to their practice room excellence. They're excellent in the practice room, but in competition, they're not excellent. Why? These new factors have not been prepped for, and not all fighters, but in some fighters, it can harm their performance. Now, let me give you a great example. I was one time at a coaches summit, and they made us do an exercise to illustrate this. This guy was working with the military, and he was telling us that the military have a lot of studies, and how much does the mind change when you're under stress. So he made us do basically a puzzle. Okay, you have to do a puzzle, and they timed the puzzle. So I did the puzzle. Let's say it took me 30 seconds to do it, and then they had your partner insult you while you're doing the puzzle. You're doing a different puzzle with the same difficulty. You got to do it again. This time, you have a partner, you paired up in 2, and he's just insulting you, and nothing's off limits. How did you score from the first test to the second test? Now, I'll tell you something. Most people, when they were being insulted, scored lower. I would tell you 80% of the room scored lower. Why? They were focusing on the insults. They were reacting to the insults and not focused on the puzzle. It demonstrates that it's very likely that if there's a new stimulus introduced to something you're used to doing, that stimulus can interfere in ways that are hard to predict. I'll tell you, when I had Rory McDonald, he was fighting Nate Diaz. When he would spar, I would insult him when he was sparring, because I knew Nate Diaz was going to insult him. When George was fighting Nick Diaz, I would insult George St. Pierre while he was sparring. I would tell his sparring partners to insult him. I said, look, get used to it, man, because he's going to talk. He's going to call you this. He's going to call you a bitch. He's going to call you a P blank, 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 Y. He's going to call you names before, during the press conference, at the weigh-in, during the fight, after the fight. Just get used to it. We have to introduce those kind of stimulus in the practice room one way or another. We have to be creative a little bit. And that's why I like, when I travel, I like to train in different practice rooms with different people I don't know. I like to feel that. Me, when a new guy walks in the practice room, the first thing I do is usually the first person I want to roll with is me. Why? Because adaptability. Bruce Lee said it best. He said one of the number 1 elements of fighting is adaptability. Can I adapt to what you do? Can I figure out what you do? The best boxers, the best fighters, in round 1, they're figuring you out. How hard does this guy punch? How fast is his kick? Does he have a great takedown? Is he good at, they're figuring you out, and then they adjust the way they're fighting to beat you. Those are the best fighters, guys. I don't want to go on a full tangent on this and give you 101 examples, but the greatest guy to ever, the most adaptive fighter ever in history is George St. Pierre. I could argue this with anybody. He never lost round 5. He's never lost a rematch. In the rematch, he's always better. All his rematches were a landslide. I've seen him get swept. I've seen him get taken down. But then when he spars that guy the next week, it doesn't happen again. It's just crazy how incredibly adaptive he is. It's really incredible. That's such a powerful tool. So when you roll with somebody new, it's kind of like competition. When you do certain exercises, it's like competition, because the thing is, in competition, it's so chaotic. People are yelling, screaming. People are watching you. Your heart rate is higher. I guarantee you, if I check your heart rate before rolling in practice, it's not going to be as high as when you're right before a match. You're about to compete. You're in the gym, you're about to roll, versus you're in competition, you're about to roll. Your heart rate in competition is going to be higher. This I guarantee you. Are you in super shape? The better your cardio, the better fitness you are, the more you can resist, the more you can withstand the pressures of competition. So being in shape is super important. Assalamu alaikum, coach. Can you speak about... Oh, I did that one. Okay, guys, I'm going to do a few non-super chats. Okay. Charles Bling Williams. Why are people ignorant to the origins of Israel, including Jordan Peterson? Guys, I knew today 100% we're going to be talking about this project. Here we go. Here's a super chat. Why does the West think they have moral superiority internationally? They are using it to justify genocide in Gaza. Courage capsule. Guys, there's no need to super chat. Coach, respect purchased a man's guide to throwing a punch. I recommend this to everyone. Golden content. That's from Sparky Nopal. Sparky, thank you very much. You're a gentleman, a scholar. I want to thank you for that. Guys, I knew people are going to love that video, and I knew we're going to talk about the Middle East. Let's talk about it. I got family from the Middle East. My whole life I've been hearing about these stories. I'm originally from the Middle East. My parents hail from the Middle East. I've been hearing stories since I'm a kid. It's a very, very important topic. I think it can be the beginning of something worse. World War, you know what? I don't want to say so many trigger words because I can get in a little bit of trouble with this in this country that I live in. My country is becoming more and more restrictive. There's so much to be said, guys, but the number one thing, let's talk about that, okay? Let's talk about the Middle East. The number one thing I want you guys to try to do is reverse everything. Let's do a thought experiment. You guys know me. I love thought experiments. Let's be fair. Let's try to be as fair as humanly possible. It's not easy, guys. It's not easy. And if you feel I'm lacking in fairness, let me know in the comments. Let me know. Let me have it. Tell me, coach, I don't think you're being fair. This is incorrect. Believe me, if you point me out something I said was incorrect, I will change my mind. I will correct myself. I'm happy to do so. I'm not perfect by any means, okay? I'm trying my best to be as fair as possible. So this is the first experiment I want you guys to try. I want you guys to take all the information you have and flip it. They say, okay, Israel came after World War II. They came to Palestine. And they had the Nakba and they pushed out the Palestinians out of their territory. Let's flip it around. Let's say it was the Palestinians that came. And the Jews were in, the Israelis, I should say, were in Israel. And there was a Nakba. A Nakba is a crisis. They pushed out the Israelis. They put them in camps. They put them in ghettos, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I'm trying to be as neutral as possible here. And the Palestinians had in their book that this land is theirs, and they were here thousands of years ago. They were here 2,000 years ago. And they want to come back to claim their land. And they want to push you out. Guys, please, nobody say that the Nakba was voluntary. It wasn't. Guys, there's no way to argue that it was voluntary. It was involuntary. Nobody wants to give up their home. Let's not say anything crazy like that. Nobody was going to get up and leave. There was pressures that there was going to be violence. They said people had different strategies, but they were being invaded. Let's call it the Palestinians. In this thought experiment, the Palestinians are invading the Israelis. The Israelis are being pushed out. Because this thought experiment is going to show us, do we have any bias? Now, the Israelis, guys, in this thought experiment, they're the ones who are being put behind a wall. They're the ones who are not allowed textbooks. They're not allowed clean water. They're not allowed water, guys. The water is minimal. They give them minimum amount of water. Guys, don't forget, currently today, not in my thought experiment, currently today, the Israelis control all the water supply, most of the water supply. They even bomb the purification centers. Like, to purify water is very difficult. Imagine in my thought experiment, it's the Arabs doing it to the Israelis. Everything is reversed. Think of every fact and reverse it. imagine the Palestinians, the Arabs, they have a holy book. They're in the Bible. They're in the Hebrew Bible. They're the ones that are promised this land. I'm going to talk about the religious aspect after, okay? I understand that secular countries don't even remotely think about this. I understand other secular countries. Israel does. They claim that, look, we have it in our holy book. The population does. Guys, in my thought experiment, everything is being reversed. We're going to see now if you're truly an honest person. Everything is reversed. If you're telling me it's the Arabs that came, they displaced the Israelis. They put them behind walls. The last 15 years have been behind walls. Before that, they were behind checkpoints, cages. Their water is being controlled. Their food is being controlled. Imagine, they have a diet. They call it the diet. They're mowing the lawn. If you guys don't know what mowing the lawn is, that's what the state does. They just, every time there's an attack, let's go mow the lawn. Let's go crush them. Teach them that every time they attack us, we're going to punish them. Guys, I'm going to try to be as fair as humanly possible. Imagine everything is reversed. It's the Arabs that come. It's the Arabs that displace the Israelis. It's Israelis that are put into ghettos. They're limited. The Arabs at this time are being, by the UN, by international standards, are committing war crimes. But the Israelis, once in a while, they break through the parameter and they attack and they kill civilians. Now, both sides are killing civilians. In my thought experiment, it's the Arabs that displace. Don't forget, it's the Arabs that have a holy book. The Jews, or Israelis, I should say, are put to the side, West Bank and Gaza, and they're controlled. Their water is controlled. Their food is controlled. Their electricity is controlled. Their textbooks are controlled. They're not allowed higher education. They're not 50% of them are unemployed. They can only work for the state. They get paid. They do the worst jobs for the worst pay. They're subjugated. They're not even living up to international humanitarian standards. I would tell you, I would be on the side of the Israelis. I would tell you, it's inhumane. Even though they break out of their... Guys, first of all, I want to condemn any killing of any civilian. I don't care what group, what organization does it. It's wrong. Never kill an innocent civilian. I know some people are going to debate on what an innocent civilian is. Maybe we do that later. But for now, I will tell you, I condemn any group. I don't care what group they are, what religion, what state, what race they are, whatever it may be. I don't care what their eye color is, what their religion is, what their worldview is. Killing of innocent civilian is mamnua. It's forbidden. It's forever forbidden. Thou shalt not murder. In the Quran, the Hebrew Bible, it says, thou shalt not murder. In the Quran, it says, of course, thou shalt not murder as well. We have the Ten Commandments. But also, in the Quran, it tells us, if you kill one innocent person, it's like you killed all of humanity. Don't ever forget that. This is a very important verse. It trumps any other statement. Every other statement was for a particular situation. By and large, the general narrative, not for particular situations in self-defense. There are situations in self-defense where we can, because don't forget, there's a difference between killing and murdering. Murdering is you killed outside of the law. There are times where killing, of course, always in self-defense, can be justifiable. If somebody's attacking you, they're trying to stab you and kill you, they're pointing a gun and shooting at you. In certain circumstances, you can use lethal force to defend yourself. In every country, this is true. I'm talking about killing somebody outside of the law, which is murder. If you kill one innocent person, it's like you killed all of humanity. Don't ever forget that. Okay. I want to straightly condemn any organization whatsoever that did this. Imagine the group that's being subjugated goes out and kills innocent civilians. I would tell you that's wrong. It's wrong of them to do it. Those people who did, the person who pulled the trigger needs to be brought to justice and punished. Not collective punishment. Never. Collective punishment is a war crime. What's collective punishment? Let's take, for example, I'm born here in Canada. Now, I was born in this country. My parents were refugees to this country. They immigrated here. Okay. They had a son, me, Coach Zahabi. I grew up. I didn't know that the French came and took this land from the First Nation. They came and they ripped this land from the First Nation using violence, and they subjugated them and they put them in ghettos, and they did what every single country that's ever been established did. Now imagine somebody from the First Nation one day walks around and shoots me, and he says, you know what, that guy, Coach Zahabi, He shouldn't have been on my land. This is my ancestors' land. It's my land. I'm coming here and I'm shooting him. I would tell you, hey, that doesn't make any sense. He kills me. I don't know. I was born on this land. I learned this in my adulthood. What do you want me to do? Reverse history? I agree. First Nations have rights. They should be given reparations. I believe we should collect taxes and give it to them. I think Canada, I don't know all the details of what they did with First Nations, but I know they don't pay taxes. I know they have certain privileges. I know natives myself. I'm not saying that they're happy. I'm just saying I think Canada should make it up to them, make it fair. That's what I'm saying. Okay. I'm not saying they did that. I'm not saying that Canada lived up to it. All I'm saying is I agree. If the First Nation wants reparations, I agree to it. Personally, I agree to it, and I'm ready to pay taxes. I'm ready to buy the land that we took. I'm ready to give them reparations. Make it equal. Make it fair. Because they should have inherited that land from their parents, and they didn't. Now, I was just born here, guys. I didn't decide to come here. And it's the case in the situation today. A lot of people are born there. They don't know it. If every time you travel to a country, are you going to go learn their history, what happened? Nobody does that. Nobody does that. We have a free society where 99% of the world, okay, let's call it 95% of the world, can move around freely. Nobody does that. It's an unrealistic standard to put, hey, you should read all the history books about this land before you land here and come to a festival. It makes no sense. Nobody lives like that. What I'm telling you is it's wrong. And those people, those particular people who organized it, fought it. Another thing is like people are so callous. They say, look, you voted for that government, so too bad. You're fair game. Both sides say that. The Israelis say that, and Hamas says that. They said, oh, you elected that guy. Whatever he does, you're responsible for it. That's absolutely untrue. That's absolutely untrue. Is everybody in America responsible for what the Bush administration did? A lot of people disagree with the Iraqi war today. They say, look, it was endless violence, cost us an incredible amount of money. What good came of it? The Vietnam War. Let's take the Vietnam War, for instance. Is everybody in America responsible for the Vietnam War? It makes no sense. That's exactly, guys, it makes no sense. That's exactly the reason why they attacked on 9/11. You know the first thing Osama bin Laden says in his letters? He says, oh, they attacked the Palestinian people, so therefore we can attack your peoples. That's completely irrational. It's wrong to say that. It's wrong. First of all, please, nobody say it's Islamic. It's completely 100% un-Islamic. Don't even try to debate me on this. Don't even try. I'll crush you. It's haram. You cannot go and kill innocent people. I don't care if you're using a special high technology means or you're blowing them up with a homemade pipe bomb. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable. They are not the politicians. They're not people who went over there. They're not people who pulled the trigger. Collective punishment is wrong. I'm telling you guys, whoever committed a crime last Saturday, those people need to be brought to justice and punished. It's wrong what they did. And it's also wrong when a state with high-tech equipment kills innocent children. It's also wrong. Kills innocent people. They're both, guys, somebody explain to me what's the material difference between both sides. They're both saying that you harmed our citizens, we're going to harm your citizens. We're going to commit, your government is harming us. We're going to practice collective punishment. Everybody's fair game. This is wrong. I'm telling you, this is wrong. It makes no logical sense. Both sides are using this logic. Osama bin Laden is not the only one using this logic, guys. It's wrong. It's un-Islamic. It's I would say, Judaic. It's against international law. Collective punishment is wrong under international law. It's illegal to starve people, block water, electricity. You know, when Russia blocked the water and electricity, they bombed the water and the electricity and the food supplies. France, Macron condemned them. He said, that's a war crime. It won't go unpunished. You cannot blockade people from water, food, and electricity. It's a war crime. Why won't he say that today? Why won't they condemn it today? Guys, if you flipped all the facts, my first thought experiment, I flipped all the facts, I would tell you, I would still say that it's wrong. You got to make the subjugated people, you got to make their life so good. You got to make it so fair that they don't want to pick up arms. Guys, I live under the crown. I live under, Canada never had an Independence Day. You guys have, the Americans have July 4th, 4th of July. You guys broke free. You guys have your independence from the crown. We don't. In Canada, we don't. Why don't we rise up and fight the crown? You know why we don't rise up and fight? We don't need to. We're happy. We have every freedom and right. What do I care if I'm under the crown? Does it make a difference to me? Is there any laws that are choking me? If, though, they want to take away my liberties, my way of life, then, yeah, of course, there's going to be a revolution. That's how revolutions start. Punishing the minority is never the solution. It just breeds more hatred. And not only from that group, guys, please understand, for those of you who are not in the know, Palestine's military or resistance is insignificant. Israeli forces are, I think, that like the 15th or the top 20 for sure, strongest army. Okay, like in the top, we're talking about the top. There are 200 plus countries in the world. They can't agree on how many countries there actually is because not everybody recognizes other countries, etc. But listen, Israel's in the 1%. Let's call it 2%. Okay, they're up there, man. They're up there. I think they might even be top 5. Actually, let me get it right because I know I'm gonna get blasted in the. Let me see which. Let's do top 10 armies. World's most powerful military. Is this from Business Insider? Let's see what they have. Oh boy, come on, give me a list. Let's see. Israel is number 18. Okay, never mind. Okay, they're 18. Palestine is in the 200s. They're in the 200, guys. They don't got nothing. Punishing them just angers the Arab world. And angers other parts of the world. I'm not going to mention them because, you know, they're seen so many times as in a negative light. We want a better relations. Guys, think about it. Think about how they have to live. Don't you want your neighbors, because you can't rely on technology and science forever. Israel cannot rely on science and technology forever. They have to better their relations with their neighbors. Because one day, the Arabs, guys, don't forget the Arabs were super powerful. The Ottoman Empire was like America is today, the top army, the top most powerful, the biggest, strongest group in the world. It happened 2 or 3 times where the Muslims were the strongest group in the world. I don't want to dig up history here. But the Ottoman Empire before World War I was the top army, top force. They had total control. And I will tell you, the Arab world is rising. Don't forget, the first resistance for the Palestinians was rocks. Yes, the Arab world fell. The Arab world fell after World War I. They fell, and they fell bad. But it's a matter of time before they come back up. Don't you want, guys, it's like a champion. Look at any champion. At one point, he seems unbeatable. He's the best. Then later on, he goes on a skid. He loses 2-3 fights in a row. We don't know if he can even win a fight anymore. How many champions has that happened to? Every single one of them, if they don't retire. If they don't retire, they're going to take a loss sooner or later, guys. It's father time. Things, think about this. Think about Germany. The Romans kicked Germany's ass for hundreds of years. Back then in the ancient world, technology didn't advance exponentially. Today, technology changes every 2-3 years. We have a new innovation, something crazy. Technology is advancing at an exponential rate. The Romans used to look at the Germans as an easy win. The term barbarian comes from the Romans. The Romans used to hear the Germans speak, and they used to say, they sound like this. Bar, bar, bar. So I used to call them the barbarians, the one that talk like bar, bar, bar. Like the guys who have a weird language. There was a demeaning term. Barbarian is a demeaning term. And barbarian meant that they're backwards people. They don't have technology. They don't understand catapult technology. They don't know how to build forts. They don't have military strategies. They're easy to beat. Guys, there was a time later, hundreds of years later, where the Germans were knocking on the door and toppling large parts of the Roman Empire. Of course, the collapse of the Roman Empire is very complicated. It has a lot to do with Attila the Hun, etc. But still, the German tribes, the barbarians that they used to look down on, were now knocking on their door, and they were a big part of making life hell for the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire got their ass kicked in many ways, not completely, but in many ways, by the German people. But not only that, later on, the ones who were the barbarians, later on in the 1900s, we know very well, they were the most sophisticated, the German Nazis were the most scientifically advanced and sophisticated population on the earth at that time. They were the most technologically advanced and most powerful army in the world at that time. At a certain point, they became the most successful scientific people, and they held the most advanced technology. America was going through a Great Depression. America was down, Germany was up. Germany gets into a dogfight in Europe, and they thought they were going to win, and all of a sudden, unforeseeable circumstance flipped the script. The Americans developed the Manhattan Project. They bombed Nagasaki. They became a world power overnight. The war in Europe was good for America. Nobody saw it coming. Men went to war. Women went to workforce. The economy exploded. After the Great Depression, the economy exploded. Of course, I'm putting everything in a nutshell. Overnight, historically speaking, America went from down low, starving, people jumping out of windows because they're broke, the stock market crashed, to up high, the economy is booming. We have a baby boom. The economy's never been better. Lo and behold, we are now the first superpower of the world. Cinderella stories happen all the time. We saw it in every sport, and even we just saw it with Sean Strickland beating the great Adesanya. Nobody gave him a chance. He went out there and he won. Guys, fighting is a complicated thing. We talk about it here all the time. We get surprised. Look how unpredictable it is. It's not good to have bad relations with everybody. What's happening in the Middle East is an eyesore for the world. Everybody, when they see, on both sides, when we see children suffering on both sides, I condemn it on both sides. And it's easy for me, guys. I don't sit there and think, should they? No, it's unquestionably, it's undeniably true that it's wrong to kill innocent children. Okay, we never do that. It's the worst thing in the world. Now, it angers people so much. It frustrates people so much. They will think about it for 20, 30 years. They want revenge tomorrow. Imagine, how could you live your life? I don't think the Israeli strategy is a great one. Why? Because look how they have to live. They have to live with, the technology has to be there all the time. It has to be so strong. And we got to make sure that our neighbors never get that technology. Like, you got to be watching your back 24/7, man. Who wants to live like that? Who wants to have relations with their neighbors? Guys, I'll tell you something. My neighbors, I make sure when I see them, I say hello. If they need anything, I run. Man, if my neighbor needs something, man, I'm right there. Whatever he needs. I don't want to have a bad relationship with my neighbor. That's the last thing I want. Why? We make each other's lives hell. We can do better. We could do better in the Middle East. But people are thinking illogically. People are thinking irrationally. Both sides have to live well. Both sides have to have a standard. Both sides have to learn to cut ties of the past. Forget about you're not going to get perfect justice. Guys, please. You're never going to get perfect justice in this world. Muslims, Jews, you know that. We're promised perfect justice in the next life, not this life. Not this life. This life, you're not going to get perfect justice. Yes, we want justice. But if you ask for perfect justice, it's unrealistic. Both sides have to learn to live together. Both sides have to have minimum amount of human rights. The chance to have education, water, electricity, to walk down the street without somebody shooting at you. Of course. Physical safety, the right to exist. A lot of people say, oh, this group says they don't have the right to exist. It's not true. That's old. That's 15 years old. People are asking for a two-state solution. Originally, when the Nakba happened, yes, people didn't want any Israelis in the Middle East at all because they said they should go back home. If you reverse the script, nobody wants their home taken. I get it. But now, after almost 100 years, they did it much sooner than that. Guys, the PLO was asking for a two-state solution. Many people asked for a two-state solution. Noam Chomsky is offering it. He's been suggesting it for like over, I think, 20 years now. Two-state solution. People live well. You know, they talk about building a infrastructure that allows the Gazans to commute from the West Bank to Gaza 30 minutes. Like, you can get from anywhere in Palestine if you had to, it's quite complicated, but 90 minutes maximum. Like they had so many. I've listened to debates, of course, and these scholars have brilliant ideas of how they can resolve this issue. It has to be resolved. Let me tell you why. And you should care about it getting resolved, because the violence might come on our doorstep one day. The violence might be on our doorstep, and then you're going to be like, hey, this is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. The amount of violence we're suffering is absurd. This could trigger WW3. I don't want to say the words. It can. Believe me. If you know your history, an issue like this, where people are so adamant about the worldviews, it can have a ripple effect that triggers a massive amount of war that could trickle. Look, guys, I'm ready to go war for the correct reason. But we have enough food, enough water, enough land, enough space, enough brains to organize ourselves that everybody can live and live well. There are many obstacles. I'm not trying to say that I'm the smart guy who could figure it all out. I'm just saying that humanity can do better. We're thinking about collective punishment. It's wrong. There are countless children dying on both sides, but far more on the Palestinian side. And it's true. Look, Noam Chomsky, a scholar I respect very much, he says, look, Israel holds all the cards, meaning in terms of logistics, it doesn't matter what the Palestinians' point of view is. They can't. It's an overstatement, but he's trying to say is like they can't do much about it. If they thought this or that, it doesn't change the situation. It doesn't, because even if they don't fire rockets or whatnot, they still have limited electricity, limited food, water, education. They're not allowed to build homes. Settlers are creeping in. Guys, you have to understand something about the Palestinians, okay? One of their complaints is that, hey, you're coming in and you're letting, even in the land that we own, you're allowing settlers come in and they build homes and then they hold that land and they're choking us. They're slowly sending us out into the sea. It's a very important point here. They're saying, look, not only is the West Bank ours, yeah, but it's fragmented. You guys are coming in and you're building little territories and you're calling it yours. You're choking us, and then you're blocking us from taking more and more roads. Guys, if you guys don't know this, there are roads for Israelis and there are roads for Palestinians in the Palestinian territories. They're not allowed to have their own. Oh, you're not allowed to walk on the sidewalk anymore. What do you mean? That's our sidewalk. Nope. This olive grove, ours. They're constantly, guys, if you go to court, if you get into a dispute, a Palestinian-Israeli, 99% conviction rate against Palestinians. If they ask for a permit to build a home or anything, it's always denied. Like, it's not feasible living. This is the wrong way to go about it. Look, I'm willing to take my own medicine. Look, in this country, I live by the law of the country. I pay a tax. I'm not a shot caller. I can't do everything I want in this country, even though I will agree it's very free. It's a very free society. But I would never tolerate the inhumanities we see in the Palestinian world. I would never tolerate that. Now, I'm not saying I would kill innocent people. That I forbid completely. But I would fight back. I would protest. I would do everything I can. It's inhumane. I don't see how anybody can argue against that. We need to make the situation humane, livable. Water, food, education. They're not going to want to fight. There's no need to fight. I got everything I need. I got my iPhone. I got my internet connection. I have the ability to go to Gaza, go to West Bank. I have the ability to go to the mall. I have the ability to eat the foods I want. I can start a business. I have opportunities to go get a loan, start a business, do my life. Now, to be realistic, the world would have to come together, broker a deal like they have in the past. And of course, I'm sure Israel's going to want Palestinians to be demilitarized. Like they can't have weapons. But the Palestinians would never do that unless they were ensured 100% safety and rights. Look, in Islam, guys, listen to this. In Islam, if you lived in the Muslim land, if you were a Jew who lived in the Muslim land, you're what we call a dhimmi. A dhimmi is a protected person. You pay a tax, a secular tax, because Islam doesn't impose religious tax on... guys, by the way, the jizya is... The non-Muslim tax is 99% of the time less than the Muslim tax. I'm a Muslim, I have to pay more than you do. Now, if there's a war, I have to fight. You don't have to fight. You're a protected people. Now, of course, a dhimmi is like, it depends on the leader. The leader will decide how many temples are we going to allow them, how many we're going to allow in the country. Like, of course, they don't want a revolution. They don't want a small group, a minority taking over the government. And I understand that. Like in Islam, if you're a minority group, if I'm living in America, I have to abide by American laws. That's my religion. We have to abide by the laws of the land. You can't start a revolution. We're not here to start revolutions. I understand that if Israel allowed all these freedoms to Palestinians, they would demand that no revolution is undertaken. No revolution is undertaken. And I could understand that because they don't want to be toppled. This I understand. But what I can never understand is, guys, cutting off water, electricity, and food. Right now, they're being told to migrate from the north to the south with no food or water. Anybody who's ever had a child knows that you have to feed that child on a regular basis. If you don't feed that child cannot function. It's inhumane. It breaks my heart to even think about it. Now, it also breaks my heart to hear that the Hamas went in and attacked innocent people. And there's the issue of also that, there was some misinformation going around. I'm not gonna say it, but President Biden said, look, this happened. And I saw pictures. I never believed I would see these pictures. The White House, after retracted it about an hour later. How could the President of the United States utter those words if it's not true? Now, I researched, where is the proof? I couldn't find any proof. But it's all over the media. And then a lot of it's not coming out. Hey, it's not true. Where's the proof? We want the proof. We want the proof. Show us the proof. I mean, there has to be autopsies. You don't just bury the body. You have to have an autopsy. You have to have a report. And of course, the report will tell you the cause of death. Of course. And of course, that would be a proof. It would satisfy me. We have to wait for these proofs. I'm just saying humanity can do better. We're so biased. People are so biased. Flip the script. Is your opinion the same? If your opinion is the same, you're an honest person. If your opinion is not the same, you're being biased. You're being biased. Now, I'll give you another thought experiment. Picture this, okay? A continuum. Whenever you have a hard decision to make, think about it like this. And this analogy is not perfect, guys. I know every analogy fails at some point, but I'm going to give you an analogy I hope that can clarify what I'm trying to say. Imagine we have the worst idea ever. The worst idea ever is one side defeats the other to level 0. I hate saying it. Like the worst idea. You get every last one of them. You know what I'm trying to say. One side wins and they live by themselves. There's no two groups to fight. One group is no more. And on the other end of the spectrum, which is also not realistic, is we're all sitting by the campfire holding hands singing Kumbaya. We're all peace-loving pacifists and nobody has a disagreement. Think about these two on a continuum, okay? One is extreme and the other was the other extreme, okay? One is extreme violence, one is extreme peace. Of course, I'm not advocating for extreme violence. What I'm trying to bring up to you guys here, don't forget, guys, this is my domain here. I'm the green philosophy here. I'm trying to give you a thought experiment. Imagine you have extreme violence and on the other end, extreme peace. Where on the continuum can we land? Imagine it was white on one side, black on the other, and then you had every shade of gray in between, okay? It gets gradually darker till you get pitch black on this side of the spectrum. Guys, it's the spectrum. Where on the spectrum should we be? Guys, we got to be at least towards the kumbaya side. We got to get past the middle point. We don't want to live in the middle point. Middle point, we're constantly fighting back and forth. Yeah, we have periods of peace, then we have periods of fighting. It's a cycle of violence and peace. Oh, we don't want to live like that. We want to get so close to the kumbaya side of the continuum that, look, we have disagreements, but we talk, we get on the internet and we debate and we let people decide, and it's a war of opinions now. It's a war of words and intellect. That's where the world is now. We don't need spears and guns. That's a last resort. That's like the worst idea. That's where we are today. We are on the mics, we're on the internet, we have blogs, we have the war of words, of ideologies. We're debating, we're having discussions now. We don't need guns anymore. What we need to do is debate our points and have an intermediary body that we trust, both sides elect, and that body decides. That's how I would get all the people we respect, both sides, the Palestinians, and like you would have a jury. Both sides choose Let's choose, and we're going to get in a room, and we're going to give our sides of the story. We're going to pitch our side of the story. This group that we elected, they're going to make a decree. And whatever that decree is, we abide by it. We abide by it. Whatever that decree. Don't forget, we selected those mediators. Both sides agree to those mediators. Now that we agree to those mediators, we both give our sides of the story, and that group of mediators will give us the final decision. And those two groups will have to live by it. Period. If they don't choose to live by it, now we have to escalate. This is what I think the solution should be. I'm not saying it's that simple. I know it's a long road. I know I'm way over my head. I wouldn't be the guy to do it. I think that would better relations for everybody. Israel, Palestinians, and the Middle East. If they could get along, it would be a beautiful thing. Why? Guys, let me tell you something about the Muslim world. The Muslim world forgets something. And I'm talking to the Muslim people. The Quran tells Moses, alayhi salam, it tells Moses, take the Israelis into the promised land. The Jews, the Israelis, they belong in the promised land. We say they belong in the promised land. Let me give you a little history lesson, gentlemen. For all you Muslims out there, let me give you a little history lesson. The Jews were expelled in the year 70 by the Romans. The Jewish people were expelled. Omar bin Khattab, radiallahu anhu, when he came back and he conquered Jerusalem, when the Muslims conquered Jerusalem, after 500 years, the Jews were exiled. The Jews were exiled by the Romans. The Romans were conquered by Jerusalem was conquered from the Romans by the Muslims. What's the first thing the Muslims did? They took out the trash, because the people at the time, the Christians at that time, don't forget Rome had converted to Christianity at that time. They used the temple that they burned down, that site, they used it as a landfill where the Jews used to pray. They used that as a landfill. The Muslims removed the landfill, they removed the garbage, and they brought back the Jewish people. Why do you guys think the Muslims brought back the Jewish people? Why? Because in our book, it says to Moses alayhi salam, bring the Israelis in Jerusalem. Now, I'm not saying they brought them to rule over us. No, I'm not saying they did that. I'm not saying that's what the Muslims did. But the Muslims said the Jewish people belong in this temple. They're protected people. They're dhimmi. They're going to pay their tax. They're going to contribute to society because tax pays for the government. They're running the government. You want clean roads. You want clean water. You want this and that. They're going to be treated fairly. They can practice their religion, etc., etc., etc. What I'm telling you guys is, it's not true that Muslims want the Jews or the Israelis out of the promised land. No. That would be saying that our prophecy is not true. That our Quran is... That gesture was for the rest of time. We want them there. Not ruling over us and stepping on our heads. No. But they are also monotheistic. Guys, Jews and Muslims were so similar. It's scary. When the temples are being renovated, the Jews come and they pray in our mosque. When our mosques is being renovated, we ask, hey, can we use your temple? We timeshare. We have no problem here, guys. We get along perfectly. And this side of the world, we get along. We have no disputes. We don't fight at all. For those of you who don't know, the Muslims and Jews got along for hundreds and hundreds of years. Don't make me crack open the history books, okay? I'm going to answer a few super chats because I know I missed a bunch. Assalamu alaikum, coach. Can you speak about... Okay, no, I did this one. Hold on a second. Sorry to interrupt your Palestine chat. May they be free, by the way, but my son is 3. When do I enter him into martial arts? Guys, I'm not going to change topic now. You paid $50, brother. I can't interrupt this topic for this question. I'm very sorry. Salam, coach. What's your take on upper cervical... Guys, I don't like chiropractic. I find it to be not the best way to take care of your body. I'm not going to get into this topic right now. Guys, we're talking about the Middle East right now. Why does West think... Okay, I guess we didn't get a bunch of super chats on that. Okay, no, they just popped in. Thank you very much, David. Guys, let me tell you a little quick story about history. There was a group once upon a time called the Zealots. You know, when somebody says, hey, you're a zealot, that means you're very feverish in your beliefs. That group was a group of Jewish men who were living under the Roman rule. Read up about them. What did the Zealots believe? The Zealots believed that they had to expel Romans out of Jerusalem and kick them out completely. No coexistence with the Romans. No coexistence, and the only way was with the sword. They had this belief. Now, there were other factions of Jewish people who said, no, we should be more diplomatic. We don't need to use the sword, etc. The Zealots, however, said, no, we're going to fight the Romans. We're going to expel them out of Jerusalem. What happened? Look, the Zealots got defeated, and that's why the temple was burned to the ground, and they were expelled from Rome. The Jews were expelled from Rome in the year 70 because the Zealots wanted to fight the Romans and take them on. What I'm trying to tell you is every people is going to have that kind of thinking. If you're ever invaded, one group wants to fight to the death, and the other group is like, hey, let's be diplomatic, we can coexist. I'm trying to tell you guys, sometimes there's a time to fight, and sometimes there's a time to coexist. Now, the bloodshed for the children, and for the future of humanity, we got to learn to coexist. There's no two ways about it. There's enough food, water, and land for everybody. Guys, with that said, I'm going to open it up now. I know I've went on a tangent here. How did it all go wrong? That's from Sax Silson. I would tell you, look, the Middle East, they're the puppets of certain powerful groups. And I don't want to mention them because it's going to cause problems. Certain groups are using certain groups in the Middle East as puppets. Puppets dance. You're our proxy soldier. You fight for us. We start the fights. We slap people around, and you're there. You're taking the heat. You're taking the heat. We pay you to take the heat. You're our front man. They don't really care about one another. They want you to be the front man. That's what I think it is. It's really about that. One group is being controlled by another. Guys, somebody mentioned Jordan Peterson in the chat room. I want to come out here and talk about Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson did the most cowardly and irresponsible thing on the internet. He incited violence. He tweeted to Benjamin Netanyahu. He said, give him hell. What does that mean, give him hell? Guys, I dare Jordan Peterson to come with me to Gaza. Me and him, we go to Gaza together and we go see firsthand. I'll pay his ticket. I'll buy him a first class ticket. I'll guarantee him personal safety. I'll guarantee him 100% safety. He wouldn't have the guts to show his face. He wouldn't have the guts. He's such a cowardly man who's never seen violence. He's never seen action. He's never thrown a punch in his life. Forget military service. He's never thrown a punch in his life. He knows psychology. He's a PhD in psychology. How dare he do something so irresponsible? He's trying to give them a carte blanche to say, give him hell. Give who hell? You didn't specify. How dare you incite violence? How dare you egg them on? How dare you? How dare you? Innocent lives. There is blood on this man's hands. It's irresponsible. It's disgusting. We should be calling for restraints on both sides. The people who committed a crime last Saturday, they should be brought to justice. The people who committed crime on the other side also should be brought to justice. There are people on both sides who committed war crime. Those people should be brought to justice. How dare Jordan Peterson say something so ignorant and vile? I have zero respect for the man. I consider him to have blood on his hands. How dare he say such a disgusting thing? He's inciting violence instead of diffusing the situation. Asking for restraint, he's egging them on. I find him to be a fool. He's a clown. I've met him once. If I meet him again, believe me, he will hear very harsh words from me. He's going to get an earful. How dare he incite violence, guys? How dare he? Guys, show me a material difference between the both sides. I could tell you that everything you blame the Palestinians for, I can find on the Israeli side. Everything you blame the Israelis, I can find on the Palestinian side. But I agree that the first punch was thrown by one of the two sides. And we all know who that was, okay? But there's a time now to cut from the past. We're not going to get perfect justice. We need to now make a world for these children that are being born in this world who have nothing to do with it. The new generation that are born in a camp, they're born in a prison. Imagine that. You're born your whole life in a prison. We got to swallow, both sides have to swallow some bitter pills, and we have to learn to coexist to make the life better, to make our life better for the future, for our children that are born in these horrible circumstances. Guys, I got an influx of super chats. I hope it's they're popping up. As a Muslim, my anger is directed at MBS and all the chicken Muslim leaders who are allowing this to happen. Am I wrong? Question mark. That's from True Red Crime. Look, it's true that, look, there's a whole Muslim world around. Why are these? I also am angry with the Muslim world. The Muslim world, guys, don't forget, the Prophet ﷺ, he was in the same circumstance. He was in a state that didn't want him. They were crushing him. The Meccans were crushing him. What did he do? He did the hijrah. He left. The Prophet ﷺ, for 13 years, the Muslims were subjugated. They were treated really badly. They were tortured every which way. What did they do? They got up and they left. They found the people they wanted to accept them. Islam flourished through peace. Guys, it's too long of a history. I'm putting it in a nutshell. The Prophet ﷺ, he left. He bartered peace for 10 years. In that peace, Islam grew. During that 10 years of peace, that didn't last 10 years. There was a conflict after. The peace treaty was broken. You guys know the story. The Muslims are all over the world today because of this war. Islam conquered Mecca in a peaceful fashion without killing anybody. It didn't kill anybody when it conquered the Prophet ﷺ. When he conquered Mecca, he left, came back, conquered, did not kill anybody. You can leave with your treasures, with your gold, or you can stay here and pay the tax like everybody else does. Over time, the pagans were expelled completely because there was ongoing skirmishes, ongoing fights. They couldn't live side by side. And also, don't forget, the pagans at the time, they practiced infanticide. For those of you who don't know what infanticide is, if they had a female child born in their, if a daughter was born, they would bury her in the sand. Look it up. It's a fact. The Arabs, the pagan Arabs, they practiced this. The Muslims wanted to bar it from the Middle East. You cannot take an infant child and bury her in the sand. This is in the Quran, like it's written there. The Quran criticizes them of this. So we know it had to be happening, because if you can't be reading the Quran in year one of the Hijrah and be like, hey, it doesn't make sense. Nobody buries babies. Of course they were burying babies. The Quran is saying it. Long story short, they were expelled because coexistence was seen as impossible. But this was only after decades of trying to convince them not to commit infanticide and not to practice their certain way of life. Okay, there was always skirmishes, always violence. They were expelled from the peninsula. Or the vast majority converted en masse. There was a time for them to leave. Why doesn't the Muslim world take in the Palestinians? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I think that like the West uses Israel, the Arab world is using the Palestinians. They don't want to give that border to America 100%. I'm not an expert in the Middle East, guys. The Middle East history, it's far beyond me. It's super complicated. Even though I've heard 100 stories, I know some of it, but I'm not an expert by any means. It's too great of a history. It's too complicated. There's too many groups. There's too many beefs. There's too many details. There's too many things I'm unaware of. But I'm hoping one day in my lifetime there's going to be peace. You definitely need to post your lecture on peace and Jews belonging in separate video. I want to share it. By the way, Jordan Peterson has been going downhill since he accepted Daily Wire contract. That's right. He accepted the Daily Wire contract. He's making big bucks. He has to be on the side that he's on. And he's a sellout. Guys, listen to me. Jordan Peterson is a sellout. How dare he? He's a PhD in psychology, man. He knows that when an event like this happens, people don't think rationally. The first impulse is the wrong one, to kill, to destroy, anger. He knows this. Yet he egged them on. Jordan Peterson is a sellout. Disgusting. Why were the Romans mean? That's a question from... It skipped, guys. Sorry, I didn't get to see who it was who said that. Why were the Romans mean? Guys, the Romans were vicious. You know the term disseminate? Disseminate means every 10. Because when the Romans would lose a battle, and it was rare, there was a time where they didn't lose a battle for hundreds of years, okay? The guys, don't forget, Rome spans about 1,000 years, near 1,000 years. They have a great history. A long history, complicated history. They had hundreds of leaders. Hundreds. If a certain regiment lost a battle, they would decimate them. You know what that means? Every 10th man, kill him. That group better never lose another battle again. The Romans were cutthroat. Why? Because the Romans believed that the more cutthroat you are, the more successful you'll be. They were wrong. You know why they were wrong? Because they always had... Here's remember what I said? What if one side defeats another and completely annihilates them? If you teach your children to think like that, if you teach the next generation to think like that, it's us or them, kill or be killed. If you teach them that mentality, guess what? The next generation is going to rise up and they're going to, hey, wait a second. You have a slightly different opinion of mine. Kill or be killed. That's what you taught me. That's what I'm going to live by. They destroy themselves eventually. They destroy themselves. Guys, every group, when they get big and strong, what happens? They start infighting. Don't make me crack open the history books. It's the same story all the time. A group rises. They become super, super powerful. They think they defeated their enemy only to find infighting. What happened to the Mongolians? What happened to Alexander the Great? The second after he died, they started fighting. What happened to every great empire? Infighting. That's why they say, historians say, empires are not killed. They commit suicide. When they become great, they start fighting within themselves. It happened to the Muslim world. The Muslim world was great. Then they started fighting amongst each other. Difference of opinion, this and that. They made so many... They started fighting over a splitting of hairs, little details, little things that if I sat here and told you about it, you think, Coach, that's ridiculous. The difference is so minute. Yeah, and they would fight over it. That's why when I talk to other people, sometimes we have a slight difference of opinion. I see the person getting angry. You know what I say? You know what? Maybe you're right. I don't know. I don't want to talk about details anymore. I lift my hands up and I don't want to talk about details no more. No. If the person's more cool, academic, like cool-headed, I'll continue my conversation and we'll split hairs, and I don't think it's necessarily bad. However, if I see them getting angry, they start thinking, hey, whoa, I cut it back. Let's zoom out here. Do we believe in the big bolts of the matter? Do we believe in the basics? Do we agree on the basics? Do me and my neighbor agree on the basics? Look, I won't park my car in your parking space. You won't park your car in my parking space. And can we agree on the basics? Maybe my neighbor, he believes in abortion and I'm anti-abortion. I'm not saying I am or not. I don't want to get into that topic. I'm just saying, let's say we had that difference of opinion. Pick any political issue. You know what? If he thinks that, and I don't think, am I going to go to war with him? No, he's my neighbor. You know what? Let me not go to war with him like that. Maybe we can have a discussion and he's open-minded and we could try to change each other's opinion and exchange ideas. Fine. However, if I see him turning red and he's getting angry, I'm wise enough to say, you know what? Let's change topic. Let's talk about something. Let's not bring that up anymore. Let's not die on this hill. It's not worth it. You know why? If he's going to get emotional about it and it's going to escalate, it's wiser sometimes to change the topic. If you can. Salam alaikum, coach. Can you speak about the... Oh, goodness gracious. Why won't this one erase? Oh, it's because he spent $50. That's why. $49. You definitely need to post your lecture on a piece. Oh, I read this one already. Somebody wants me to post this lecture that I did on the Middle East. You know what? I might get flagged by YouTube. That's the problem. I think YouTube is, especially in Canada, things are getting scary here. It's very restrictive. You say a native attacking you is unfair, deceptive. If you are in Nazi Germany at a party besides Auschwitz and get hurt, then that is more accurate. Truth speaker. Okay, so what our friend here is saying, truth speaker is saying, look, it's not like my analogy. He's saying my analogy fails. What's he saying? He's saying, look, The Native Americans, that happened a long time ago. They're not being tortured. Right now, they can go to the supermarket. They can go to university. They have every right now. So it's not like if they were in Auschwitz. If they were in Auschwitz, that would be more like what's happening with the Palestinians. He's saying my analogy was not as accurate, and he's right. In Auschwitz, for those of you who don't know, it's where the Germans were rounding up Jewish people, putting them in ghettos, putting them in concentration camps. Concentration camps, guys, it's a little bit of space with a lot of people. That's why they call them concentration camps. Gaza is one of the most densely populated places in the world. Let's be fair here. I'm trying to be fair. It's very similar. They starved them. Auschwitz, they were starving them. No food, very little water. They would starve them to death, and they would do even worse. They would do even worse, guys. I don't even want to say it, but they would do the most horrible things. The Gazans are not living that. Let's not falsely equate the two. The Gazans are in a horrible situation. Auschwitz was worse. Now, if people broke out of Auschwitz, they would see military soldiers. In my opinion, that's fair game. I think in international law, that's fair game. I have no doubt about it. If they broke out, that's fair game. However, if the Auschwitz was in a civilian population, and you're seeing people that are born there and they live there and they're not military combatants, I don't think you should touch them. I personally don't think you should touch them. If they're not pointing a gun at you, what's the point of touching them? Guys, in Islam, it's a strict rule. Guys, you know what happened on October 7th in Israel? The people from the rave, they were dancing, they ran into bunkers. And Hamas was throwing grenades at them. In the bunker, guys, it's haram in Islam. If somebody's a non-combatant and they close a door, if somebody is not wielding a weapon, not only are they not wielding a weapon, they're non-combatants, and on top of it, they're behind a closed door. Specifically in our religion, it says if they're behind a closed door, don't pursue them. Not only were they unarmed, not only were they non-combatants, they were pursuing them behind a closed door. Literally, they broke every single rule. Literally, they broke every single Islamic rule. I think they did it because they lost their minds. They lost their minds. I think personally, guys, if you ask me, if you put somebody in a dire situation, they have nothing to live for. I'd rather die than live like this. Okay, that's what's going to happen. You're going to get the most brutal type of human being. And we see that in different communities in different parts of the world. Certain communities are poor. They result to gang life, violence. They're highly uneducated. They have no other way of life. There's no other way to make it out of here. I can't go to school. I have no money for school. There are no job opportunities. You know what? I'm going to sell drugs. I'm going to commit crime. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's what the mass majority of people opt into. They opt into what can bring us out of this lifestyle. Look, in certain parts of the world, and you guys know what I'm talking about, they don't have the right to education. There's no schools being built. They don't have the right to textbooks. They're not allowed certain foods. Certain foods are banned. Like literally noodles, pasta is banned. Not allowed. Doesn't get through. No, you're only allowed these few items. That's it. Why? We don't want you to have. What's it going to do? Am I going to become stronger? No. It's just, you'll never get that luxury. It's psychological torture. Guys, even the sewage plants in Gaza, even the sewage plants are destroyed. That means they have their backs are to the sea. First of all, they're blockaded. They're only allowed to go so far to fish. And sewage. They have a shore of sewage. They're not allowed to clean their own sewage. We can do better as human beings. We can do better. And it doesn't help. That's the thing. It doesn't help. I personally don't think it helps Israelis, and obviously it doesn't help Palestinians, but it doesn't help the Israeli situation. It doesn't make their life better. They have to ameliorate their situation with the Arab world. They cannot rely on technology forever. As last week we saw, it's not possible. And turning Gaza into a grave will not solve the issue. Guys, you have billions of people around the world that will always bring the subject up. They'll never forget it. They will never forget it. They're going to bring this up 1,000 years from now. Guys, nobody will ever forget the Holocaust. You know, the Holocaust, they say never again. When we say never again, we say for every nation. For every nation. I don't care if you're black, Portuguese, Italian, Greek, Arab, non-Arab, white, tall, short. Never again. We will never exterminate a people again. Never. We'll never attempt to do it. Ever. Never again. For any people. You're right. My analogy was not perfect. You're right, true speaker. I want to admit to that, but I was trying to be more delicate. I'm trying to say that collective punishment, ultimately speaking, every analogy breaks down. What I was trying to say is, look, collective punishment is not right. They're not a nation of enemy combatants. It's not true. Now, I understand there are settlers. Some people don't know what a settler is. From what I understand, look, when I say settler, I'm saying that, okay, they define the borders of the Palestinians, and people are still coming within those borders and taking homes. They're just taking homes. They're at gunpoint, pushing people out, pushing Arabs out. They're settling in that place. And that guy is fair game. That's what people are saying. I agree to a certain extent. Not his family, his children, his wife. They're not fair game. From what I understand, international standards, they're considered, that's considered illegal. If somebody right now today was physically taking him out of home, I got to be honest with you guys, I would fight. I would do what I have to do to protect my family and children. I think every man does that. I don't think any one of us would say no. However, would I attack the man's children and wife? No, I wouldn't. Of course not. Especially not an infant child. Of course not. Okay. Guys, we can do better. Okay, guys, gentlemen, I know I went on a rampage here a little bit on this. Alex Fox. Should Volkanovski fans stock up on copium? Go get him, guys. Attack him in the chat room. Attack him. What rules? All Israelis of age are trained soldiers if they have a party that is their stupidity. No proof children or women were targeted. That's from Truth Speaker. Truth Speaker, I want to say something very important. They're not armed enemy combatants. So what? They were trained. He's trying to say, look, all Israelis, first of all, have to go mandatory military service. First of all, not all. Like if you're a religious Hasidic Jew, I don't think they don't go in military service. I don't think they do. Okay, correct me please if I'm wrong. But you're right, the vast majority. However, there could have been tourists. They're not armed. They're no longer in the army. They're no longer in the army, man. They were born. Guys, this war has been going on for nearly 100 years. They're born there. They're born there, like I'm born in this country. They're not responsible for the government. Are you responsible for your government? Where do you live, Truth Speaker? Do you live in the U.S.? Are you responsible therefore? It's collective thinking. You can't do that, my friend. Please think about this. First of all, it's un-Islamic. You sound to me like you're a Muslim. It's un-Islamic. Collective punishment is, we all unanimously agree. The UN agrees. All the religions agree. Atheists will agree to this. Collective punishment doesn't make sense. Think about it like this. If you say that, okay, here's why I was asking you all for a material difference. And there is one, but I don't think anybody's nailed it yet. Let me ask you this, Truth Speaker. Are you saying that since Hamas killed their civilians, they have the right not to come kill our civilians? Is that what you're trying to say? I'm telling you, both sides are using the same logic, and it's wrong. It's wrong. It's not right for either side. It's not right for either side. Explain to me the material difference. By your logic, if I'm attacked, can I come and attack you? Why? You voted those politicians in. Oh, I could say that, look, these Palestinians, they're trained. They cut steak. That's training. I could define that as training. So what? They were trained in the military. That's okay. How about this thought experiment? What if Palestinians were all trained in the military? Same thing. Level the playing field. Level the playing field for me. Thought experiment. Are they now every citizen walking down the street, every man and woman not holding a weapon? They're shopping. They're in the market. They're fair game. That's insane. That's wrong. Completely wrong. Okay. Does Gaza have a peace treaty? Is Israel honoring it? This is an active war zone. True Speaker. You're right. Listen, he's right. They've breached, guys, the state of Israel has used white phosphorus. They're guilty of several war crimes. That's not me saying that. That's the UN. By international standards, they've done illegal, reprehensible things. I'm not denying that. Blocking people behind the wall. Imagine, Noam Chomsky said this, not me. Said, imagine white people did that to black people in America. What would happen? Imagine they rounded up black people in the community, blockaded them and said, hey, they're human animals. Imagine that. The state now, not individuals on the internet. No. The state is saying they're human animals. We're going to treat them like that. What would the American population do? There would be an intifada infinity. You know what intifada means? The resistance. The America would blow up on no, I shouldn't use that word. There would be a revolution, immediate revolution. People would be furious. People would knock down that wall physically. They would rip it apart. They would never accept this. Now, I'm saying by and large, the majority would not accept this. We don't think like that. It doesn't make any sense to blockade, literally take people. Imagine. You know, Noam Chomsky gives us that thought experiment. Think about that. We're going to limit their food and water and we're going to bomb them day and night. But wait a second. There was a small group that did that. Too bad, so sad. We're gonna level them. That's insane. It's wrong. And it doesn't solve the problem, guys. It doesn't solve the problem. We need a political, diplomatic solution. We don't need more war. War is not the answer. We've tried it, guys. They've tried it over and over again. They've tried it. Many groups throughout history have tried to defeat one another. It always ends up with more violence. Always. New member, Kenny. Thank you. Guys, I'm going to try to read a few non-super chats. Hatcher, I missed your super chat. My apologies. Hatcher. Coach, Gatsad said your fellow Montrealer Lebanese resident on Twitter has been saying Muslims are naturally anti-Semitic. Religiously would say, scroll his tweet. Okay, look, I'm not a big fan of Gatsad. I think he's very anti-Muslim. Okay. He's saying we're anti-Semitic. That's not true. It's absolutely false. We're not anti-Semitic. First of all, we are Semitic. I'm Semitic, guys. By the way, FYI, I am Semitic blood. I think he means I'm anti-Jewish, which I'm not at all. Zero. I have many Jewish friends. I don't have any. I don't treat Jews with any prejudice at all. If I meet a Jewish person, I meet him. I'll get to know him. If he's good with me, I'm good with him. If he's not good with me, I'm gonna keep my distance from him. Simple. Muslims and Jews have gotten along together for hundreds and hundreds of years. Guys, don't forget. Tell Gatsad this. Bring Gatsad to me. Tell him this. When did the Jews have their golden era? They had it under Muslim rule. FYI. The Jews were never so prosperous as when they were under Islamic rule. It's the truth. There was something called the Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition was a time where Christianity was going through a dark phase and they were killing every living Jew. Guys, type in Spanish Inquisition. It's not me. I didn't make this up. Christian scholars tell us, yeah, we went through a dark phase. There were some very violent interpretations of the Bible. People twisted the scriptures and they used it against the Jewish people. And the Jews were sent ships by the Muslims. The Ottoman Empire sent ships to rescue the Jews. And the Jews lived under Ottoman rule for hundreds of years. Guys, the Muslims, I won't lie, we had good days and bad days. I'm not trying to make it like it was a perfect time, guys, but it was an older time. By and large, we got together, we got along together. But Muslims feuded with Muslims. Muslims feuded with Christians. Every group feuded with every other group. It wasn't because they were Jewish per se. It wasn't because they were Christian per se. It was because people are greedy and they want land and they want power and they have political goals. Like today they feuded in the past. But I'll tell you this, the Muslims, not me saying this, guys, there are Jewish scholars that will tell you that if it wasn't for Islam, Judaism, some Jews say Judaism would not exist and some Jews say wouldn't likely exist. Because the Christians were so powerful and so many that it could have very likely eradicated Judaism from the face of the earth. It's not me saying this. It's Jewish scholars. I would dig up the citations, but you guys can do it yourself. It's really easy. I'm telling you that we had good times and bad times, but it had nothing to do. It had very little to do with our religion. It had more to do with politics. Gatsad is wrong. He's completely wrong. Okay, he doesn't know his history. He lived, I heard a little bit about him, okay, because you guys maybe listened to one of his podcasts with Joe Rogan. I listened to him. He embarrassed himself on Joe Rogan. He was falsely, he brought up, anyways, I don't even want to get into it. He brought up something against Islam. It turned out not to be true. Thank God, man. Joe Rogan had it searched up. He searched it up. Gatsad was wrong. He was humiliated and embarrassed in front of Joe. And he's like, hey, you're talking shit. Let me see if it's true. He looked it up and it says, all scholars agree that this is false. This statement is false. It never happened. It's never was said by the Prophet ﷺ. He was humiliated. And he's there, Gatsad was discriminated against. He says he was discriminated against when he was in Lebanon because he's a Jew. He was a minority. It happened to him, but that doesn't give him the right to discriminate against Muslims. We're trying to tell you, stop the cycle, guys. Let's stop the cycle of discrimination. Instead of coming out here and telling you guys like I'm saying, is that Muslims and Jews are not inherently discriminate. Instead of saying that, he's telling you, look, Muslims are inherently discriminate. He's a fool. He's a fool. He doesn't know his history. We've had good times, we've had bad times. And that doesn't have to do with Islam. Guys, ask him who brought the Jews back after the year 70 when they were expelled for 500 years. It was the Muslims. And I'm happy to say it. I'm happy when the Muslims did good things, and I'm embarrassed when the Muslims did bad things. I'm embarrassed when the Muslims did bad things. When they did haram things, I'm embarrassed, and I should be embarrassed. Only a fool would ignore a potential threat. That's from Red Gemini. I'm not saying we should ignore potential threats, but it doesn't work to squash your enemies. It doesn't work because new enemies always arise, and the enemies will arise within. You know what the Jews are saying now? The Israelis are saying, we're going to go to Gaza and then we're going to come back to the Jerusalem. You know why they're saying they're going to come back? They're coming back for Netanyahu's neck. They're coming back for Netanyahu's neck. They're saying, you failed us. Guys, 85% disapproval rating for Netanyahu. Netanyahu right now, he's going to take the blame for this. The Israelis are furious with him. Check the polls. They're saying we're going to Gaza and then we're coming for you. Now Netanyahu's got to try to clean this up. He's gonna aim for the most brutality possible. He's trying to appease the angry mob. You understand? There's an angry mob on both sides. They're coming for his neck. Why? How did he lead the last, I don't know how many decades he's been leading? How many years? When somebody hurts us, we're going to hurt you right back. There's interviews of him saying that. If they do anything, we're going to make them feel pain. That's the culture. You make a mistake, we make you feel pain. You offend us, we make you feel pain. Offense, pain, punishment, violence. We got to get past this thinking. We can do better. We can do better. What we need to do is say justice. We're going to have somebody mediate. If I'm angry with you, I can't be your judge. We need to bring a third person, a third group, who's going to mediate between me and you. I'm angry at you. You pissed me off. I can't be the judge, jury, executioner. That's not fair. Ayman Khatib, my friend, please buy them for the BJ vids. Buy them in order. Start with the first 3 videos, and then after that, buy them as you need. So volume 1 is the most important. Volume 2 is the second most important. Volume 3 is the third most important. After that, after the first 3 volumes, I'll tell you mix and match as you see fit. By the way, I'm glad you're enjoying the Strong and Stable series. It is a game changer. To be fair, most of Hamas is under 18, so they are not that wise. That's from Reaper. I totally agree with that. Guys, half the Gazan population is, there's 2 million people. Half of them are minors. Are you guys listening to me? Half of them live their whole life in a jail cell. Their whole life. You're right. They don't understand. Put yourself in their shoes. They don't understand anything. You think they understand Islam, right, wrong, international law? You think they know these things? You think they know these things? They don't know anything. They know very little. They're not allowed schools or textbooks. They have very minimal education. Minimal. The new generation have seen nothing but limited water, limited electricity, people dying, their ancestors telling them that they were forced here at gunpoint, etc. You're right. That's a very good point. Think about that. How would you be? How would you think? Guys, let me tell you something. You're gonna have, if you're born in violence, we know that you're gonna be more violent. You're gonna be more sadistic. You have more chance to be sadistic. You have every horrible metric, guys. We know this. Guys, I have a degree in social science. This is basic. If a human being is not given his needs, you're gonna get the worst of him. You're gonna get the worst version of that human being. He's not gonna sit around and think deeply about things. No, he's gonna act. His stomach is hungry. He's thirsty, man. If you're thirsty and hungry, you're gonna think. You're gonna think in a certain way. You need to satisfy those urges. People need to eat and live and breathe. They need those are immediate desires. Those are immediate desires. It's not like, oh, you know what? Should I get a red car or a blue car? No, that's not a basic desire, a basic need. No, that's not basic. Warm, shelter, fire. Shelter, warmth, food, obviously drink, security. These are basic needs. They cannot go unmet. Hey guys, I'm going to read a few non-super chats. How come nobody's trying to help the Muslims in China? That's from BGA. I agree. Look, there's a lot of Muslims suffering in China as well. And I wish we could do more. Believe me, if I was in charge of the Muslim world, I think I would do a lot more. I mean, I don't want to criticize here. I don't want to be an armchair quarterback, but, you know, I'd like to think I'd do a lot more for all of humanity. Hatred, okay. Salam coach, big fan of yours in Australia. I recently had my first child, a daughter. What's your advice? How to raise her right? That's from Breakout Neo. Oh, you know, for your daughter, I would tell you, look, maybe gymnastics is the best. I think you put her in an all girls gymnastics club, and I think gymnastics is great for kids. Like I say it all the time, but I feel like teaching kids martial arts at a young age is not the right thing. Why? Because they got to learn how to move their body in basic ways. Front roll, back roll. Before you try to teach somebody armbar, you got to know how to do a back roll. Before you teach somebody double leg, man, you got to know how to jump up and down. You got to know how to land. You got to know all these basic movements, how to pull your body up on a bar, how to spin on a bar. All these things are going to teach you how to get upside down. How do you get upside down? Well, when you're doing handstands, you're learning to be upside down, walking on your hands. And then when you're in jiu-jitsu, going upside down is simple. You've been doing it since you're a kid. Cartwheeling is super important. The most basic exercises are in gymnastics, and I think they're the best. Coach, is the Quran, does it recognize the Jewish people as being God's chosen people? Yes. That's sort of seek and destroy. Yes. Well, look, guys, we believe in Moses. We believe in all the prophets. They believe everything. We believe they were the chosen people. And look, the Quran criticizes everybody. It criticizes the Muslims who are not pious. It criticizes the Christians who are not pious. It criticizes the Jews who are not pious. Don't forget, it's the same God of all the three religions. We believe it's the same God. The Jews that were pious are praised. The Jews that were not pious are criticized. Like the Muslims who are pious are praised, and the Muslims who are not pious are criticized. It's the same God. Now, I don't want to split hairs, but of course, we invite them to Islam, of course. But we believe that they were chosen by God and they were led by Moses alayhi salam out of the into the promised land. We're very much harmony with the Jewish prophets, 100% so. Okay, we don't believe they got their stories 100% right. They don't believe we got our stories 100% right. Like there are certain things we object to about their stories. We think this is not correct, can't be correct. You know, like certain things like, you know, like they say the prophets got drunk and certain things happen. We say, no, this can't happen to a prophet. You know, a prophet is like, he's an honorable person. He can't, They say, no, he's more human than you think. No, we say, look, they didn't do these kind of things, you know. So we think that they humanized them. The stories were written over and over again. It's a bit of a complex view, but we believe in the same prophets. By and large, the core of the story we believe in. Assalamu alaikum, coach, big fan. Okay, this is the same one. Gosh, that's a deep super chat. Like every blue-haired chick posting about Palestine. That's from Verico. Look, I know the leftists are going to side more with Palestine. I understand. Look, I'm not righty. I'm not lefty. I agree with certain things on both sides. I think we have to be rational. I don't think you should be so... I mean, it's just too... The divide is too great. I like to be more in the middle. I agree with both sides on certain things. And I disagree with both sides on certain things as well. Kenny, that's a question for them. I don't want to get too much on their personal life. Okay, so that's a question you got to ask them. Athenians opted for might is right with the Melos. So when they ended up trapped in a rock quarry, they were dealt with the same way. Act wisely, I say. That's from NKS. NKS, that's correct. Guys, when you rule with an iron fist, it's a matter of time before a generation or your enemies rule you with an iron fist. We see this time and time again. What happened to the Mongols? The Mongols started to dominate one another. Coach, what do you do with the Masjid Al-Aqsa? That's from Cho. The Masjid Al-Aqsa stays with us, stays with the Muslim world. Guys, there's in Jerusalem, right next to the temple, there's the Dome of the Rock, our holy place of Muslims. Guys, if anything ever happened to this mosque, it would probably cause WW3. Nobody wants that. I don't think even I don't think even the Israeli state is even calling for that. And the Muslims obviously are not calling for the destruction of the Jewish temple. Nobody's talking about these things. The Jews keep their temple, the Muslims keep their mosque. We can be in the same place and worship. It's a non-issue. It's a non-issue. All three religions are in Jerusalem. That's a non-issue. It's actually good for their economy. The whole world. You think Israel's not happy? The whole world comes to Israel to pray in the mosques. The whole world visits it. It's a tourist attraction as well. Of course, that's not why they have it there, but economically, it's good for everybody. Economically, people are visiting, the hotels are full, the restaurants are full, people are eating and drinking, and there's flights flying in. The economy's booming, baby. Why? We have three holy places for the three great religions. It's economically feasible. I don't think anybody wants to take that away. In your opinion, what is the Palestinians' path to victory in such a situation? That's from A. I would tell you, number one, no more use of violence. Number one. Petition the Muslim world. Get educated on the situation. Use the internet to debate and discuss and show your situation. Show your situation to the world. We live in the world of internet, guys. Public opinion matters. Public opinion matters. Show the world what's happening. Show them that, hey, look, we're not getting this much water. It's still this many years. Debate. Talk about human rights. Even, I would tell you, make hijrah. If you have to. Do what it takes to give the next generation of Muslims, youth, Palestinians, a chance for education, a better life. We need more doctors, lawyers, mathematicians, engineers, architects. We need professionals. We need more successful youth. We need rationalists. We need philosophers. We need thinkers. We need every facet of success. Athletes, even everything. And we're not getting it by focusing on things we don't control. We got to ameliorate the situation. We got to problem solve like never before. We got to Bring the walls down one way or another and live like the rest of the world. One way or another, but not through violence. Violence won't work. I don't think it will work. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I'm just saying I don't think violence will work. Thoughts on flags being in the UFC, back in the UFC? Well, I know only a certain few flags were banned. I don't know which ones are or not. I just know of a certain one. Coach, have you seen the Ben Shapiro rant? No, I haven't. I did see the one with Pierce where he talks about Muhammad Hijab. I did see that one. And he seemed a lot more sympathetic towards the Palestinian people. I saw his first rant where he was just basically calling for violence. I thought it was completely disgusting and wrong. He's having an emotional reaction, which I would say is understandable. I understand he wants to get revenge on Hamas. But we have to remember, Hamas is not Palestine and collective punishment is wrong. I'm not going to go over it again. We talked about it. But when he did his interview with Pierce Morgan, I felt he's like, hey, he actually said the words. I don't know if it was my imagination, but I thought I heard him say, I have nothing but sympathy for the Gazan people. It's Hamas we're targeting. Now, certain politicians said, hey, everybody's fair game. Even the president said, look it up. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but he said, forget innocent civilians. There's none of that. We're going for it. Like, too bad. One of them said, oh, human animals. They're human. We're going to treat them as such. They're not being specific with their words. And more children have died in Palestine than all of the entire Ukrainian war. In 1 week. In 1 week in Palestine. It's inhumane. Guys, would you push that button? Would you push that button? You're going to fire a rocket. You know, hey, if we fire this rocket, 30% of the deaths, we're going to kill about, let's say, 200 people. We're going to send this barrage of missiles. 30% of them are going to be kids. Are you ready? Would you push that button? No, you wouldn't. You're just going to tell the guy to push the button. You're going to go on the internet and tell the push the button. If I thought, hey, by the way, we pushed the button, like you said, and look, here's all the pictures of the kids that died. By the way, can you go and console the mother? She's having a nervous breakdown. He would never do it. He would never push that button. Let me tell you, he would never. He would never. The only guy who pushes the button is a guy he's told by a higher ranking guy who's told by the people. It's never that guy who's on the mic who pushes a button. I dare him to go push a button. I think a lot of them would think twice. I would never push those buttons. I would never. I wouldn't go about it that way. I wouldn't turn myself into that. I wouldn't have that on my conscience. But it's easy to say it on the mic. Why? You're going to get more likes from your people, your followers. That's what they want you to say. They want you to express their anger. And real people die. I thought his second rant was, I would love for him to have a debate with Muhammad Hijab. Just the two of you. Go talk. I'll mediate. Or bring somebody else you trust to mediate. And I'll be as fair as I can be. I'm telling you, I'll be super fair. But I'll tell you, he wouldn't. It's a very difficult thing to defend. It's a very difficult thing. I don't agree to expose women and children to harm way, but this for strategy or for tactics. I trade land for their safety, i.e. hijra. That's from True Speaker. Thank you, and I appreciate that sentiment. You know, I think instead of spending billions on guys, the Gazans are only like 5 million people. Sorry, not the Gazans, the Palestinians, like living in the land. All the billions of dollars you're spending, why don't you just make a deal with them? I bet you, I know it's not the easiest route, but I bet you there's a route. We'll give you these freedoms. We'll give you these reparations. You guys live here. We won't have these settlers. Or is the mission to push everybody out? Is that the mission? Is that the secret mission? Every single, that can't be. It can't be that. It can't be the mission. If that's the mission, we'll never have peace. Guys, we will never have peace. Guys, the Muslim world, the Christian world, we're 2 billion each. The Muslim world and the Christian world are about 2 billion. You can't push us off the face of the earth. We're too many. And we're growing. Live in peace with us. Make your neighbors respect you and love you. It's doable. It's not that complicated. We can get along. Think about what we're doing. We're Okay, imagine your strategies to look. We're gonna live in this country here. We're gonna put our wall around us, and we're gonna have our enemies on the outside of the wall. We're gonna survive on technology. We're gonna have the best technology ever. We're gonna defend ourselves, and we're gonna have a little paradise here. And all the sharks are on the outside. Too bad, so sad. And we're gonna keep you at bay. We don't care about you, guys. If you turn your world into an island like that, yeah, you're gonna survive. Technology and science is gonna. You're gonna die in your old age, living in a old folks' home. But then the next generation, they're gonna have to keep it up. Whoa! Now they have even better technology. Their technology is gonna have to be so superior to the outside world, and the outside world is quickly catching up. Is what I'm trying to say. Think long term. You're sending the future generation to carry a load that they cannot carry. It's not good for the future of. It's not good for your own future. It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic to live this way. The future will have this weight to carry because everybody's gonna be like, "Hey, we didn't forget what happened 100 years ago." No, no, no. We're here. We're knocking on your door, guys. Don't make me tell you the story of the Crusades. The Crusades lasted for hundreds of years, and that's what happened. Hey, we didn't forget what happened last generation. Oh, and they kept fighting each other. It's the longest, bloodiest war in history. At the time, was the longest and bloodiest war in history. At the time, it was an intergenerational war. One place, and it was all about Jerusalem. Oh, we took you over. You took us over. Yeah, you took over. Guys, don't make me crack open the history books on this one. We'll do it another day. But I'm telling you, it's passing down the violence to the next generation. Well, in Jerusalem, we had peace for hundreds of years. We had it. We did it. We lost it. We won it back. Actually, it wasn't the hundreds of years. Look, we had hundreds of years of peace in Spain. The Muslim ruled Spain, Andalus. Look it up. Coexistence, man. How do you say coexistence in Spanish? That's what the Spanish call it. Coenvincia. I forget the name. But there was a time of relative peace and culture and academia. Salah says, what part of Israel do you agree? I can't see anything I agree with. Listen, they believe they have the right to exist and live in Jerusalem, in the Holy Land. I believe it. The Quran says it. The Quran tells Moses, alayhi salam, it's a commandment from God. Bring them into the Holy Land. Omar bin Khattab brought them to the Holy Land. Why do you think he brought them in? Are you gonna contradict Omar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu? Are you gonna contradict him? Are you sitting in your computer right now? Are you gonna say no, he was wrong? Astaghfirullah. He knew what he was doing. He wasn't a fool. He was a very wise man. He knew exactly what he was doing. The Jewish people belong there. I believe it. Omar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu believed it. It's in the Quran. I would tell you they belong there. They have a right to exist. I don't believe when Hamas said, "Oh, we're going to eradicate them completely." I'm against that. I totally disagree with that. We're not going to exterminate them and put them. No, we're not going to push them out, etc., etc. No, they belong there. Now, how many? To what extent? That's something that's been debated. Not today, of course. Now they're there. They're going to be there. But I think the West, when they brought them in, I wasn't there. I don't know all the details. There was a great displacement of Arabs that shouldn't have happened. Too many. 800,000. They should have bought land. They should have built housing. They could have made it more dense. They could have figured it out without creating a war zone that's going to last 100 years. It wasn't a smart way. Why? Because look how we're living. We're constantly looking over our shoulder. Not us. I'm talking about them in the Middle East. Think about that. You're constantly going to bed at night wondering, hey, am I going to get killed? There's a rocket. Both sides are wondering, hey, are the rockets going to fly through our window today? It's not a way to live. Nobody wants to live like this. And you're gonna go to the grave passing that down to your children? That's the other thing. Are you long-term thinking? These politicians are not long-term thinking, man. They're going to make millions and they're going to move to another country. They're going to go live somewhere else. They're going to buy their house. They're going to buy their kids a house somewhere else. I'm like, hey, don't live there because it's too dangerous. The next generation won't survive. They're handing down conflict generation after generation. They are called human animals because they have been treating them like that. You see? Question mark. That's from Ayad. I agree, guys. If you treat people like animals, they're going to behave like animals. I agree with this sentiment totally. Guys, I was flying back from Tampa for a fight, and I was listening to a podcast on the way back. It's from a guy named Hassan. He went on H3. A guy, Ethan Klein, a Muslim guy and a Jewish guy. I don't know how Muslim, I don't know how Jewish they are. I think they're very, modernized or whatnot. They had a really good discussion, a very good discussion. It was more open-minded, open-heart discussion point of views, and they were airing out their grievances. Even the Muslim guy at one point started breaking down and crying. He was talking about a particular war crime that was very heinous. And you could see that the Jewish guy was also deeply hurt, and he was... But I think they had the right idea. They're better than the politicians. They are better than the politicians. They're definitely better than Jordan Peterson, egging on, inciting violence. Guys, if you incite violence, what do you think happens? Revenge. Guys, 9/11 happened in 2001. They're still fighting over the same thing. Can you believe it? And 20 years before that, they were fighting over it. And 20 years before that, it's never ending. How do we cut ties from the past and live together? That's my question to you all. You next generation out there, you're smart enough, you're intelligent enough not to fall in the same trap. Everybody needs to have a humane existence. Everybody. Only Muslim administration can establish peace in QUDs. I don't know what QUDs is. I don't know. That's from True Speaker. No, other people can establish peace, of course. Okay, there's peace all over the world, not in the Middle East. In the Middle East, there's a tremendous amount of conflict because they were once a united state. Okay, they were once the Ottoman Empire. There was peace within the empire. Now they fractured. Guys, united we stand, divided we fall. They're fractured now. They're all jockeying for first place. Every world leader wants to be the top guy on the top of the mountain, and one day they might reunite. They might not. It might take a long time. Might not take a long time. Countries, when states, imagine United States tomorrow has a major fallout and they fracture. Like what happened with the USSR. They can fracture. Areas, regions that unite become powerful. When they fracture, they become weak. The Muslim Ottoman Empire was fractured. They're going to jockey for 20, 30, 100 years, 200. Who knows when they reunite? But when they reunite, they're going to be so powerful. They're half the known world. Guys, the Muslim nations are half the known world. Half. They're a sleeping giant. We are a sleeping giant. We're all over the world, guys. They were trying to make the Palestinian flag illegal in London. They had huge protests. They made protesting illegal for Palestinians illegal. They can't stop it. They can't stop it. There's too many of them. If France tried to use water cannons, gas, they can't stop it. There's too many. There's 6 to 7 million Muslims in France. In the French region, there's close to 7 million now. Make peace with your neighbors, guys. If you flip the script on me, I would do this. I would say the same thing. If I was a minority and they're the majority, not that they're the majority, but they're a growing group worldwide, they're going to be a majority. The Muslims are going to be a majority as a group. I'm talking about. I would say, look, make peace with our neighbors. What's the point of fighting with them? What's the point? What does it bring us? Looking over our shoulder 24 hours a day? It's an unsustainable way of life. This is from Jim Lopez. What is the barrier for Israel to intermingle and procreate with Palestinians to create a future generation of folks with shared culture and mutual interest? Well, I'll tell you something. Jewish people generally don't want to marry Muslim people, and Muslim women don't marry Jewish men. Okay, so us Muslim men, we can marry Jewish women. No problem. But our women don't marry outside of our religion. The Jewish women, they marry outside. From what I understand, okay, I find that funny that they actually marry outside their religion sometimes, okay? But generally speaking, you're born, from what I understand, guys, please correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong. But to be Jewish, you have to have, your mother has to be Jewish. And the second way to be Jewish is conversion, which is very complex. They say it's tough, and they recommend you don't do it. So in that way, it's very different than Islam. In Islam, we recommend you do become Muslim. Will they intermingle and marry? I don't think so. I think they want to retain their identities, and I'm good with that. I think that's good. I think if you want to convert to Islam, of course, you're always invited. We invite you to convert to Islam. If a Jew wants to remain a Jew, that's his religion. That's his choice. If he decides, that's between him and God. We say, we don't force anybody to convert. Will they intermingle? I don't think they'll intermingle too much because of that point. However, they can easily coexist. They can go to the same market and shop, and they're gonna intermingle with each other socially. Of course, no problem. Will they get married and mix their blood? Very little will do. Very, very little. Okay. I think a Jewish girl, if she marries a Muslim guy, she'll be frowned upon. I know here in the West it's considered ridiculous. Like we don't really have that, but in our communities we have it. It's rare you're gonna see a Jewish girl marry a Muslim guy, even though it does happen. It's rare, okay, and it's very, very extremely rare you're gonna see a Muslim girl marry anything other than a Muslim man. Extremely rare, okay. So in that sense, I don't think they're gonna mingle, and that's okay. But we can definitely, our children play together. We're friends, guys. I have so many Jewish friends that I love. I have so many Christian friends. I have atheist friends. I have every walk of life. Okay, the days of breaking down doors is gone. We just talk now. We have different worlds of views, and we share our opinion. Now it's a discussion. It's a battle of words, if you want to put it that way. Intellectual discussion. That's the new arena. All I care is that, oh my God, I can't read that one. What do you think about the 40 babies rumor? That's from Zubair. There needs to be hard evidence. That's such a powerful allegation. We need real evidence. We can't take anybody's word for it. We need certificates for that. We need, I want to be fair. We need proof. And I can't believe it was on the lips of the president and then of the United States and then retracted soon after. The White House retracts it. I can't confirm or deny. I don't have any evidence to that point, but it has to be confirmed. Till then, we have to put it in the, innocent till guilty and proven guilty pile. We have to wait and see. Is circumcision forced conversion? That's from Donnie. No, it's not. Being pro-apartheid in Israel in 2023 is similar in so many ways to being pro-apartheid in South Africa in 1983. That's from AE. A lot of people make that parallel. A lot of people. It's very true. That parallel is commonly brought up. Imagine cowering behind a closed wall and justifying the bombing of a major 95 to 99% civilian population. How did such majority-funded military not see the attack by Hamas? That's from AE. Hamas is saying, look, how could they not see the attack coming? Guys, I have so many questions about the attack. From what I heard, and I can't believe my ears when I hear this, I can't wait till they explain this next thing that I heard. I can't even, I'm scared to say it because I'm scared it's misinformation. I'm really scared of that. I'm just going to say, they're saying it took a long, long time for anybody to show up and rescue the people who were being attacked. How could it be? They have cameras everywhere. They have remote control guns. They have sensors everywhere. They have patrols everywhere. They have cell phones, 911. You call 911. If I call 911, 911 will be here in maximum, the longest 10 minutes, maximum. They'll be here within 10 minutes if I had a serious urgency. I'm scared to even say the amount of time I heard in the news because that's too much time. It can't be. It makes no sense to me. There's no official report. They said they're gonna go on the offensive before they do their report. They don't want to go into that. I don't want to say any guys. I heard this from legitimate news sources. I just can't believe my ears that it would take that long. How could it take that long? The people must have been dialing 911. It can't be they weren't dialing 911. I mean, people were filming the attacks. Like, there must have been like 50 people calling 911 and 50 people recording at the same time. Because people probably didn't know what they were, they saw hang gliders at first. They weren't sure what they were recording. They heard gunfire, but, they hear stuff like that all the time. They're kind of filming from a distance. There's a lot of footage coming out. Slowly, it's coming out. 50 is a low number. It must have been over 100 people calling 911. How could it take so long? It blows my mind. I can't wait to hear the reason why. I just can't understand it. How important is sleep for muscle growth? Danny Farha, read the room, brother. Read the room. This is a very special episode, guys. This is a very special episode. I don't get political very often. But sleep is extremely important. If you don't sleep, you can't train. So you won't be able to train the next day if you don't sleep. 911 took me 1 hour to come. LOL, no joke. That's from Kenny. Well, it depends on the emergency, right? Depends on the emergency. If you say, hey, there are people shooting, there are people with guns, I would assume it would take the minimum amount of time. They're going to jump in their squad cars. They're going to alert the military. They're going to go full alert. They're going to ring sirens. Guys, they're ready for it. They're trained for this. They're trained for it. It's not like we live here. They have sirens go off for any threat. They warn people, get in your bunker. They're prepping for this, guys. They even have remote control guns at the border. They have sensors, cameras, they have motion detectors, they have every technology you can imagine, things I don't even know about. I don't understand how it could be. It blows my mind. Dixie Normus, we all know why the response took so long. I know what you're saying. I'm not going to say it. I hope it's not the case. And I don't think people are that dumb to fall for that. Like, there better be, I can't understand. There must be something. I don't know. I can't think of an explanation. I can't think of one. But I'm waiting. I'm waiting like everybody else. I want to wait to see what the facts are. Rambo, I'm not going in that question right now. We're just talking politics. I'm about to wrap this baby up very, very shortly. G-Master. Okay, guys, no more super chats, please. No more super chats. Okay, guys, please, no more super chats. Oh, right away we get a super chat. Albert Pike wrote to Giuseppe Mazzini in 1871 regarding a conspiracy involving 3 world wars that were planned in an attempt to take over the world. The victim is real believers. They pray is Dajjal. Dogs out. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. I really don't understand what you're writing me exactly. I know what all these words mean, but I don't understand. Are you saying they were predicting Dajjal? I know what Dajjal means, of course, but hold on. Albert Pike. Albert Pike, he wrote a very forbidden book. Am I remembering him correctly? Albert Pike. Yeah, that's Albert Pike. Was an American author. Didn't he write the Satanic Bible? But wait, no, hold on a second. Am I conflating him? Okay, Albert Pike. Who's Albert Pike? Albert Pike was a lawyer who played a major role in development of early... Okay, I'm confusing him with someone else. Hold on a second. Let me write Albert Pike books. Hold on a second. Morals and Dogma. Meaning of Masonry. Chapter Rose Croix. Hold on a second. Oh yeah, no, he did. I think he did write the Satanic Bible. Is it true that Albert Pike said, okay, that's Cora. Albert Pike, the 3 wars. Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm gonna have to look it up, my man. I just really don't know much about Albert Pike. I'll try to look it up. Okay, guys, I know this episode I got super political, but it's because the whole world, the internet is blowing up. I want to end it on something more funny, more positive, more light. Let's put that Middle Eastern story to bed for now. You guys heard me. I went on a full... Guys, I want to encourage you guys to help the world diffuse and eliminate civilian casualties. That's what we should eliminate. Cut ties from the past. The beefs of the past. We're not going to get perfect justice. We need to think about the next generation. How are we going to help them grow and be successful? And then they will rise. They'll stand on our shoulders. We got to give them food, water, drink, education. That's the best path. Somebody out there was saying, okay, guys, I was just about to wrap this up. Sorry, I was reading it and then it skipped. All due respect, coach, but hijrah, migration, is not an option. No Palestinian would ever consider leaving their land. You mentioned earlier about switching place. So would you leave your home as for an intruder? That's from Khalid. Khalid, there's a certain time and place I would defend myself, and there's a certain time and place I would leave my home. Let me tell you something, okay? Muhammad alayhi salam, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he did it. Are you going to criticize him? He did it. In the treaty of Hudaybiyah, what did he do, alayhi salam? He did everything in the book to appease them. Sometimes we think long term, not this generation, but the next generation will rise above and stand on our shoulders. I'm not saying they should all leave. I'm saying certain among of them should leave. The youth should leave. They should go get educated in Egypt. They should go to the other lands. They should have programs for the youth. Take them, get them PhDs, architecture. Like I said earlier, let them become professionals, educated. Let the Muslim world has so much money. More money than the West. Why are they sitting on it? Doing what? They're buying Rolls Royces. They're building more skyscrapers. Why don't they bring the youth? Teach them philosophy, logic, science, history, mathematics, architecture. Send them back later. Send them back to their homeland. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to build you buildings. They're going to build your economy. They're going to solve the water problem. That's what you need to do. That's what I'm telling you need to do. I'm telling you, if I was in power, if I had the assets these Muslim brothers have, you think I would build more luxury hotels? No. Maybe that's part of the economy. Okay, I understand. But there's plenty of wealth to go to 5 million people. Half of them, 2 million of them, I'm gonna take the brightest and best. I'm gonna fully fund their I would make them scholars. Inshallah. And I'll tell you something. A lot of their future problems will be resolved. Why? Because that's what we need. We need people who can think at a higher level. Now you tell me, is hijrah wrong? Is hijrah nonsensical? I would hope no man would utter such a word. That's a sunnah. That's our tradition. There's a time for one option and there's a time for another. And it doesn't mean everybody has to go. It doesn't mean evacuate the entire property. No. But if we let the older generation stay behind and they're not a threat to anybody, they have minimal means, and we send money back to them and we let them sustain, and there is a future of us coming back as kings, as scholars, as problem solvers. And the Arab world, staying within the Arab world is so easy. It's so easy because the Arab world is filthy rich. The Arab world is filthy rich. There are rulers in this world that are so filthy rich. They have so much of the world's resources. They could do so many things with that money. But we have to make the world livable for everybody. Okay, guys, I wanted to end it on something fun. Guys, let's change gear here. I killed it today. Guys, I'm not going to do this often on this podcast. I'm not going to do this often. We're always going to talk about upcoming our sport, MMA, grappling, jiu-jitsu, boxing, and fitness, and all that good stuff. But sometimes we're going to have to take a special circumstance and talk about it. We have to, because the whole world is talking about it. Guys, I'm gonna end it on something funny, kind of funny. Let's end it on something light-hearted, something put a smile on your face. I saw the Dillon Danis Logan Paul fight. I saw the Dillon Danis Logan Paul fight. Oh my God, guys, let me tell you something. Why is Logan Paul tippy-tappy dancing around? Guys, what is it? Was this a boxing fight or a fight? I thought he said he was going to decapitate Dillon Danis. He's fighting a grappler in boxing, and he showed Dillon Danis so much respect. Logan Paul didn't do any infighting. He tiptoed around, jab, 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 run, jab, jab, jab. Are you that scared of Dillon Danis, man? That guy, listen, I understand doing that round 1. I understand doing that round 2. Don't tell me you're going to do that round 4, 5, and 6. 5 and 6 was like, okay, you should have went after Dillon. You should have put the pain on Dillon Danis. Guys, this was supposed to be a fight, not a boxing match. These two guys hate each other. Dillon, guys, I'm not the biggest Dillon Danis fan, but I gotta tell you, in my eyes, he got a moral victory. Why? He's a grappler stepping into a boxing ring. He's not known for being a puncher. We saw that. He covered up, blocked him down, clowned him. Okay, he got in a little trouble in round 2, but he never got stunned. He never got knocked down. He definitely didn't get decapitated. After the things he said and did, literally Logan Paul finished the fight running around in a circle. And did you guys see how his security jumped in the ring the second they saw Logan? What I'm trying to tell you is Logan warned his security. He had him all around the ring. The second he even grabs onto me, jump in the ring immediately. Like that was an order. Like they were following orders. That's what I'm extrapolating from what I saw. They were following orders, man. They jumped in the ring at the end of the ring because he kind of attempted a guillotine. He was back up on his feet. There's 10 seconds left, man. Punch each other. Nope. The security guard ran in. Of course, Dillon Danis took a swipe at the security guard. I thought that was absurd. What the hell are you doing, Dillon? You can't punch a security guard, man. What are you doing? Anyways, the security guard ran in to protect Logan Paul. Like, Logan Paul was really worried about the grappling. Now, the grappling failed. It wasn't successful, but he's wearing boxing gloves and, Logan Paul's a big, strong guy. I think he's on juice. I think we all know he's on juice. He didn't do the drug test, okay? He was offered a drug test. He was offered 100 G's to do the drug test. 100 G's. He didn't do it. He said he would do it. He never did it. He's a big, strong guy on juice. He's wrestled in the past. He's wrestling experience. He has a lot of boxing experience. He's a tough guy. He's a great athlete. He's fighting a smaller guy. Yeah, it's not going to be easy to take him down, but I think Dillon Danis could take him down and sub him or punish him. Who knows? Maybe Logan Paul keeps his word and fights Dillon now in an MMA match like he said he would. I don't think he does, but like he said he would. Now, I was disappointed in Logan Paul. Okay, I understand round 1, you want to feel him out. Round 2, you punished him and you went a little wild and you didn't show the best boxing, but you're a better boxer. You're definitely a better boxer than Dillon. Dillon might have landed, I think, the total of 9 punches the entire fight. He's not a hard hitter. He doesn't punch often. Why are you circling? Why are you tiptoeing? Why are you boxing like you're fighting a power puncher? Why are you boxing a guy like this is a boxing match? This is supposed to be a fight. After what he said and did, I was expecting you to keep fighting after the bell. I would. If somebody said that about my fiance and whatnot, when the bell rang, I wouldn't care. I would keep punching. I would keep fighting. Yes, we're going to fight to the end. I found it to be a moral. I know Dillon got criticized or whatnot, but that's a moral victory. The guy's a grappler in a boxing match. It's his first boxing match. The guy's not a puncher. You're bigger, stronger, and you're on juice. And you promised us a decapitation. And you threw a water... Look, he got hit in the mic. He deserved that shot, the face of the mic. He threw a water bottle straight into below the belt on Dillon Danis. But that's not right. Now, guys, I know I don't want to get into the whole fiance thing, but those are pictures from what I understand. To my understanding, they're public pictures. Now, if Dillon hacked those pictures, I would be the first guy to come here and condemn him. I would condemn him, guys. I would be like, that's dirty. But she's publicly saying these things. She's publicly demanding and asking for men and this and that, and she's all over the place. She's taking pictures, provocative pictures. She's saying provocative things on the internet. Now that she's more famous, there's being brought out to light. But she posted it, man. She pushed send. If I'm wrong in this, please correct me in the comments section, because from what I understand, these are all public. So I put the blame on her. I don't put the blame on Dillon for that. Of course, he's instigating it, but she exposed herself. She made it public. Anyways, long story short, the fight was a letdown. Guys, and you know me, I don't criticize people who go out there and do their best. I respect everybody who had the guts to lace up, get in there. That's a real fight, real punches. I respect everybody. I just don't think this was a good fight. I don't think anybody thinks it was a good fight. But it was Logan Paul's fault. Dillon Danis walked forward. He fought to the best of his capability. Yeah, his capability is not the best. He's never said he was a great boxer. Yeah, he does say in the pre-fight, he's building up the fight. He's saying he's a better boxer than Logan. It's not true, guys. I came on here. I told you he's not a better boxer. We all know he's not a better. He's building up the fight. But he went and he fought. He didn't throw many punches. He walked forward. He didn't run and dance and try to bleed out the clock. He walked forward. Logan circled back way too much. He showed Dillon too much respect. I hate to criticize him for it, but it's the truth. Guys, let me know. Was it a moral victory? Yes or no? I want to take a poll here. Now that I have this newfound ability to take a poll. Was it a moral victory? Was it a moral victory? I don't know. Was it a moral victory for Dillon Danis? What? Oh, shit. I mistyped it. Hold on a second. I'm going to end poll. Hold on. I'm going to end poll. Hold on. I'm going to do it again. Start poll. Typo. Damn it. Hold on one second. All right. Here goes the poll. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes. Guys, no more super chats. No more super chats. BHWK, thank you very much for your super chat. Yes, I'm familiar with the Mongols. And did you know they were the descendants of the Mughal Empire? Yes, the Mughal Empire are descendants of Genghis Khan. What are your favorite mythology? That's, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Khabib versus a chimp. Khabib would lose. Come on, a chimp would kill him. Chimp. Oh, no biting or scratching. Khabib. If there's no biting and scratching, okay, yeah, because chimp doesn't have any legs, really. I don't know. I think Khabib would wear him out. Though. Was it a moral victory? 56%. This is scary. I think it was a moral victory. Yeah, 50. Okay, I'm gonna let it run for a bit. In my opinion, both had a moral loss. That's from AE. I don't think so, man. I think Dillon Danis went in a boxing fight, went out there, walked forward, and Logan backpedaled, and his coach was like, tell him you're doing great. They were trying to win a boxing fight. That's ridiculous. You're fighting a grappler in a boxing fight. You're trying to win a boxing fight against a grappler. Nothing to gain. He was supposed to fight him and decapitate him, so to speak, meaning knock him out. Like, it was the worst strategy. The worst. His corner let him down. He let himself down. He let the fans down. I didn't see the KSI Tommy fight. I saw a little bit of highlights. I heard that people weren't happy about that either. I'm not sure about the decision. Like, I saw a lot of grabbing in the highlights, so I don't think it was the most exciting fight. I don't know. I can't say anything about that fight. I'm not going to pull that fight, but I heard the fans weren't happy. You think he would go for a KO? That's exactly what I'm saying, Billy. He should have went for the KO. It was a joke that he didn't. A joke. I think he got hit by I think Danis landed maybe 4 strikes. And I think they were all right hooks. Like, it's not like he's throwing punches and bunches here. It's not like he's throwing bombs here. Like, what are you so scared of? Okay, somebody's getting kicked out of the chat room. Let me just kick this guy out. Hide user on this channel. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I mean, if Dillon didn't even throw a punch, so I don't see it as a moral victory. Yeah, but at least he walked forward. At least he showed up. He laced up. He went in there. He built up a huge fight, first of all. And he went in there and he laced up against a guy who was bigger, on juice, and was a better boxer than him. Let's not lie here. You know, Logan's been boxing since he's probably younger. He's a boxer, and that's what he does. Dillon's not known for his punching. Okay, guys, we have a never before 50-50 poll. Holy, 143 votes, 145 votes, 50-50 poll. Can you believe it? This is the most divided question I've ever asked. Coach, you're right that she brought it onto herself, but ethically you have to have, even with someone, what? Ethically you have to have satyr. Even with someone past, and legally you can't spread pics in spite. Not that I'm defending her or Logan. Are you trying to say that legally he broke a law because you're putting pictures out in spite? Don't forget, his captions were not spiteful. They were like, good morning, and he would put up a post. He wasn't like insulting her. Now, that's all up to a judge, guys. I'm not a judge. I don't know the laws. I'm not pretending to. Ethically, you have to have I don't know what SATR means. Hold on. Concealment. I don't know, but I'm sorry, I don't understand what that means. But listen, I understand. If he was a gentleman about it, he wouldn't do it. I get it. I'm not saying he did the right thing. I'm not egging him on to do it. All I'm saying is, if I think it's her fault ultimately because she posted public things, and somebody's just bringing attention to it. I don't know if that's illegal. It doesn't sound illegal to me. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know anything about this kind of law. The only people that lost were those who paid for the fight. That's from Reaper 119. Ouch. But I think I have to agree with you. The legal action by Logan Paul is weak. Should have taken out on him in the fight. That's from Khalid. Khalid, he had a golden opportunity. If Logan Paul turned that into a street fight, if he went out against Dillon, just walk forward. I get it, the first 2 rounds. I get it. But after that, you got to go forward, man. He would have laid Danis out on a stretcher, man. He didn't. He was playing it too safe. Okay, guys, I'm looking at the polls. 51% say no moral victory for Dillon Danis. 49%. Daniel, late to the party, man. Rewind the whole video. I talked all about the Kazmzat. It was $90. The fight was $90 American. No way. Kenny, are you kidding me? You guys paid $90 for that. Oh, my Lord. I wish Mike Perry would have got that drift. Jimmy Lopez. Guys, Mike Perry would have mopped the floor with Logan Paul. Mopped the floor. Unless Logan Paul would have been grappling the whole time, hugging, like he did with Mayweather. Other than that, if he actually boxed with Mike Perry, he would have got crushed. Guys, I'll tell you something. There's no doubt about it. Jake Paul is a much better boxer than Logan Paul. Much better, no doubt. Jake Paul is leaps and bounds better than his brother. Leaps and bounds. %53%. The poll is climbing. Coach, you need to fight Jake Paul. Sign the paper. Sign the paper. Danis gets to say he didn't get knocked out, and Logan did nothing after all that talk. That's from Billy Badass. Yep. This ruined influencer boxing, in my opinion. Like, no, they're gonna build it up again, guys. The influencers, they got the money in the bag. People like to see people love build-up. Guys, it was such a popular fight. The stadium was full, all that. Man, you got world champions at like smaller weights. They can't fill up a stadium like that. If they're main event, nobody will come. They're great boxers, best in the world. Nobody will come watch. Nobody will pay to watch. Jimmy Earl says, Coach, what do you think about Arthur Beterbiev? I've hung out with the guy. The guy's a killer. He trains in Montreal. He's a beast. He's a gentleman. I can't say enough good things about him. Yes, his sparring partners say he hits hard. Absolutely. He's a monster. He's the greatest fighter in the world. Greatest boxer. No way will ever play for an influencer fight. That's from Kenny. You never know, man. Over time, sometimes it's fun. It doesn't always have to be about skill. Sometimes you just want to see, these guys, they have a beef and it's like, it's interesting. We want to see it. I hate to say it, but sometimes it's enticing. I hate to say it, though. Okay, guys, like I said, I had a blast as always. This was a very unique episode because we're talking about politics, which we rarely ever do, and we won't be doing it very much so in the future. Guys, like always, please like, share, and subscribe so we can do more of these, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you.